Okay, we're trying this again. If you guys can see and hear me, please put a 1 in the chat. We're gonna try this one more time to make sure that our audio is good, because today is a big day and we wanna make sure that the audio is fine. So if you guys can see and hear me, let me know. With that being said, we're gonna jump on to today's proceedings. Apologies for the delay, but at the same time, we wanna make sure that we're good to go over here. That being said, I think you guys are about 20 seconds behind me in live chat, so we'll get going. Okay, pretty eyes. Good to see you, pretty eyes. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Cody, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, all right. All right, thank you guys. I just spent some time with people to make sure that we were good to go, because like I said, new equipment, and we want to make sure that everything, Wheezy, is it still bad? Okay, you guys are saying we're good. So I'm going to trust the 80% this time and not the minority that say that it's really bad. But yeah, everything looks good to go on this side. So we're going to go ahead and get to the trial proceedings finally and go from there.
We have previously, when we've walked through, what about this witness? What exhibits are they coming in? Any objections? And walk through. There is exhibits that have been in her folder, some since August of when she was going to be testifying, that would come in with her as a witness. We specifically, in terms of recently, not recently, but the discussion with Mr. Sharp in the state has been focused on the phone, primarily the phone, and then the state sent a whittled down wiretap.
Okay.
And then you have the Instagram, Your Honor.
All right.
I don't know. Let me just be clear. There are folders with Investigator Viverito. Part of the challenge in this case, quite frankly, we heard from Detective Hogan. And Detective Hogan, I was asking about the GSR and things like that, and he doesn't know anything about it. Part of the problem is it seems that Investigator Viverito took somewhat of an investigatory role in this at some point, or a co-investigator, but there's no reports by Investigator Viverito. So in discovery, I have just a folder with a bunch of social media posts of random people that I'm assuming that it's Investigator Viverito pulled them, but there's no, to my knowledge, no report saying, oh, I pulled this. And I don't know when they were pulled. Some of them in the folder, it says a date in the title of the folder, but then a different date on the post. And there's just a lot of ambiguity, and we just need to go through some of that. And I absolutely object to some of the social media grabs that Investigator Viverito.
Okay, so why don't we is the best place to start the reduced wiretap folder Dropbox that was sent in the middle of the night, last night?
Yes, Your Honor. And
Early morning
that
this
was
morning.
my fault. I sent the one at 5:58 and the version of that XL.
Okay, well, anyway, is that
Yes, Your Honor.
a place to start?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would make sense?
And
Okay.
I think the defendant Stillwell's phone may be a good place to start, because we have never addressed that
Fine with
before.
me, but Ms. Percival doesn't see an October 28th or October 30th link, so we're not quite sure where to go to.
Your Honor, it's the link from last night. That same link is, the items sent on those dates are identical in that. So that recent link is what I recommend.
Okay, so also the midnight one or the 5 p.m. one, or does it matter?
They're actually the same link, Your Honor.
Okay.
So you could use either one.
All right. Well, I think I just deleted it. Got it. Okay, so iPhone 12 mini. Should we start there? Yes. Okay. Okay, and then there are multiple folders within that folder. Do we need to look at each of those? Hang on, sorry. Okay. So should we just start at the top, 9 February conversation? Okay, what have we got here?
I'm gonna go ahead and skip through some of these parts, guys.
I'm sorry, I clicked
That's
on
fine.
the link, the Dropbox link, and the first folder I'm seeing is Garlington IG.
Yeah, we're just skipping that one for now and going down to the iPhone mini.
Simone and Green.
Ready?
I don't have a problem with that particular.
Okay. And let's move on to the next one. The next one says S. Stillwell. I mean, it's just the next one down. Doesn't have much of a descriptor. Did I do that wrong? No, yeah. All right. So the 9 February just is that one text conversation. So the next folder, S. Stillwell, has 3 different things in it: messages, places, web. We just need to open all of them and look through. So messages.
And just a reminder, guys, today is a non-jury day, so it is gonna be a lot of procedural stuff, but let's go back in.
Well, so it appears to me that, may I come into?
Yes, you may.
It appears to me that state did some sort of search for terms. I don't know if they're looking for extended clip, I don't know, and so they're talking about extending a rental to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any problem with that particular one.
Okay.
I would suggest that probably we should,
Okay, so within that first folder, there seems to be a couple of different conversations. One of them is entitled Tent on Rental, and that's got the word extend, talking about extending the rental, and you don't have objection to that?
correct.
And then we've got another one entitled, I don't know who put these titles on here, but 2828 Waters Drive. Send me an Uber from where, home to 28 Waters Drive, issue with that?
I have no problem.
Okay, then the next one is entitled Death of Christian McMillan Darius Ford. And I assume when these come in, they're not going to have these titles on them, but okay, just making sure. Any issue on that?
Reminder to hit the like button, guys. We had to restart because of some sound issues, but happy that y'all are here and tuned back in.
No.
Okay. And then there's an attachment that I can't tell what is. Just said,
I do have an issue.
what is that? It's all I can see. It looks like a screenshot, one by one.
Yes, Your Honor, it's a screenshot from Instagram
Okay.
that says 1 by 1. And we believe it's close in time to when Christian McMillan passed it. It was posted,
Are we supposed to be able to see that? I mean, who posted it or the date or anything going to be visible?
when we go to the actual phone number, Your Honor, the picture viewer, I believe that picture is, you guys can see the picture, we just screenshotted and clicked it.
Okay.
To put it in this consolidated form, but when we go to this text message and this is still a phone, you'll see the attachment and then you should click it. So it should be the actual picture of the screenshot, not this blurry version.
So who wrote it?
Thanks.
So that's the image that he sent. See where it says image?
Okay, so,
It's there.
okay.
You can keep it if you want.
So you're saying that down below is listed Apple Messages, main, I guess maybe that's some sort of an emoji that it's 470, ends in 7004, from 3/11/22. Is that what y'all are saying is significant?
Yes.
And that number liked the image that is the 1x1?
Correct. What number do I?
Okay, I don't know. Y'all are going to have to explain.
I don't know who the author of the image is. I'm trying to understand evidentiarily how this gets in.
Me too.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm pulling up the Cellbrite itself.
Okay.
But, the green messages are statement of party opponent, are where he says, on the PDF I'm looking at, he's mentioning the death of Christian McMiller and Darius Ford, and then in Cellbrite,
He,
defendant Stillwell.
which is which number?
He is any green text, Your Honor, highlighted is
The
going to be
ones,
him.
green, they have a green box
Yes, Your
around
Honor.
them?
Those are all statement of party opponents.
Because it says on the right, data source, and that's his number that ends in 8694?
Yes, Your Honor, and this is physically extracted from his physical phone. And so they took it to APD, and in Cellbrite or XRY or Gray Key, every message he sends in this entire phone
Okay.
is going to be in green.
Okay.
And that's from the physical phone itself.
All right, so are we only seeing his messages and it's not like a conversation? Just help me sort of understand what it is we're looking at.
It is a conversation, and so when you, in a couple minutes, I'll pull it up so the court can see how this system shows it, but you can search by messages, by files, and so when you look at messages, it will have in chronological order the entirety of text messages saved on the phone. You also can search by terms or search by communications between parties. And so what we will be seeing when we walk through this is sometimes a variety of those. In terms of this specific excerpt is a text conversation between defendant Stillwell and who he has saved in his phone as main with the emoji.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, if you go to scroll down, for example, to the next page, there's someone named Brett Rossi.
Right.
The person that is on the other end of the conversation is in a gray bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just kind of how all these look. But I don't know, my objection to this is
This meaning go up above again,
the
right?
one by one, that's not my client's words.
One by one is posted when? I mean, I see
Stephen's
that
words.
apparently Mr. Stillwell's phone liked that image on 3/11 at 9:31 a.m. Is that what I'm supposed to take from this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have, and is he talking when he likes the image to, and is that a snake emoji? It's so small, I can't see it.
That is what I believe it is, Your Honor.
Okay, main snake. So
I think it's actually a lizard.
main lizard then. We'll just call it main. Is that who posted one by one? Or do we know?
Your Honor, I'm pulling up the actual XRY. If one of them sent like a screenshot from Instagram, which that looks like Instagram where there's a song at the top left, I'm trying to pull up to see if it was, I believe what happened is the person he's speaking with sent him a screenshot one by one.
Okay.
And he liked it. And
Okay.
so the phone would capture him liking that message, just like you could like a picture someone texts you.
Right, okay. All right, and Mr. Sharp, what's your objection then?
Well, I need to understand the relevance of this.
And when is the McMillan Ford, I may not have those names right, McMiller Ford?
It was on March 11th, the early morning hours of March 11th, 2022. Oh, it's not. It was the
Early morning hours of March 11, 2022, approximately. I think the police responded around 2 or 3 a.m., Your Honor.
Okay. And so I guess this would be a suggestion that the one by one and liking that is a reference to those people's deaths. Is that right? Okay. Is that the theory?
The theory, which will be up for the jury to determine exactly what that meant,
Sure.
would be because of basically picking off the rivals one by one, shooting one by one, the people who caused the double homicide death.
Well, but who wrote?
But no one's going to be, that is, the jury can make of that what, but that is,
But that's why y'all are offering it. So to say that these two buddies of ours died and we're going to get whomever killed them one by one?
because on March 14th, Shamel Drinks has a picture with Kelvin Watts and Jasper Walters, who are publicly and quite aggressively disrespecting the double homicide publicly.
Has that evidence come in yet?
It is going to come in with investigative Viverito, so it has not been before the jury. So
Okay.
I'm not
That
saying
is
that,
Miss
there is
Weaver.
some evidence out there
She's
about
back.
this quite public disrespect of, there's one picture of a crossed out Mr. McMiller next to his child and says he didn't have a father now. So it is, there's no words for that level of disrespect. And so that is what is publicly being put out into Instagram around this time.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to get there today because these are the things that I think really do need to be litigated, but it doesn't apply to this. But there's no evidence that Mr. Stillwell saw any of these posts, to my knowledge.
It's
Not
Mr.
not this one. I'm not talking about this one.
Well, right. Sounds like they don't even get posted until several days later. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe can the state articulate their position on why this is relevant?
So, Your Honor, the state, the text messages, I think we're all in agreement, are relevant in terms of the state has to put forth evidence of the impact of that. The state's theory is this was retaliation for that.
This is
Shamel Drink's murder
retaliation
was,
for that. Okay.
and so,
Drinks' murder is retaliation for McMiller and Ford's murders a few days prior.
correct, Your Honor. So the text messages the state believes are highly relevant to show, because you have to put forth evidence, and a private text message is good evidence of someone's state of mind, of how that impacted the people by the state's theory that murdered Shamel Drinks because of that. And so when and then the specific photograph of one by one, that can be up to interpretation, but the state feels that it's relevant that immediately after stating that, I lost my brothers.
Well, it's not immediately after stating it, it's before stating it, isn't it?
I was
I
pulling up.
mean, at 9:31, Mr. Stillwell likes an image that is one by one, which y'all are saying is a song title. Is that right? No, that came.
The one by, so you can tell a song is playing because of the top left with Instagram.
Look at Atkins with the hands. Real quick, guys, I just want to show you guys some love because, we started the stream a little late. Today's an important day. I'm really excited to have a guest with us later today, and that is Miss Westmoreland. She is joining us at 3 o'clock, and I will be putting it on members only just so the members have an opportunity to ask her questions if that comes up. But real quick, wanted to shout out Michelle for gifting a membership. Thank you so much for returning, Michelle. This is our second stream. Had a little bit of audio problems before, so I appreciate you, Michelle, for doing that. A girl from Texas gifted you guys 2 memberships. Thank you so much, a girl from Texas. Anthony drops in with a 10. No comment, no question. Pure love of the game. A girl from Texas with her 3rd. And then look at Auntie Mickey, who's like my spirit mom. Right? It's so good to see you in here, Auntie Mickey. Thank you so much. Deonra's in here with the 2, says AV7 being a CEO and getting problems solved. Yeah, I almost called the road. Like, seriously. I was like, road, $900 worth of equipment. I need it to work. So thank you so much. And real quick, the reason why I wanted to stop is because Mark, the paralegal, just gifted you guys 20 memberships. Thank you so much, Mark. Very, very sweet of you. If you received a membership from Mark, please do us a solid and say thank you to Mark. He did not have to do that. Very, very generous of him to do. So please say thank you if you received a membership. It is going to come in handy today when Miss Moreland comes on, because the members are going to have an opportunity to ask her some questions. So really, really excited about that. Let's get back on into today's proceedings. It is a non-jury day, so keep that in mind. A lot of the stuff is going to be procedural. It's going to be evidentiary. We're going to discuss some of the issues with evidence that's coming in or not coming in when it comes to our last and 2 final defendants in the YSL case. The state claims to be able to rest their case next week. That means their side of the story is done next week, and we're finally going to be able to hear from Max. We're finally going to be able to hear from Doug and see how they are going to counter some of the claims that the state has made with its theories. Let's keep going.
Okay, well,
But you can
it
caption.
is so minute on what I'm looking at that I can't see
Yes, Your Honor.
anything other than that there is some image and some words. But you're saying if we look at it
And-
in a real clear version, it's going to show some song playing?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm,
The song significant?
no, Your Honor, the song is
Okay.
not significant.
Okay, so while a song is playing, Maine snaps a screenshot of it or screen grab or whatever of it, and Maine puts the words one by one on, dot, dot, dot on there, or what?
No, Your Honor, this is a whole other person's Instagram that posts one by one, and they are sending this screenshot between each other.
Okay, so some random human in the universe who is somehow, whomever has access to through Instagram, has, while listening to a song, posted one by one, dot, dot, dot. And it doesn't matter who that is or what that means. Maine sends that snap of the screenshot to Mr. Stillwell, who then likes the image. And the state's theory is that by liking an image that says one by one, because it's several hours after the murder of his compatriots, that indicates that he intends to get revenge for the murder. Am I following your theory?
Correct, Your Honor?
Okay.
I do not know that Instagram handle. There is in my opinion, the two most highly likely
Well, if we don't
purposes
know,
of that
we
picture
don't-
is either it could be a rival of someone of YFN posting one by one, and then defendant Stillwell and Maine Slime are sending this photo to each other saying, look what they're publicly saying one by one. And that probably is what it is. I do not know who
we
that
don't know
Instagram
that.
handle is, but I think it's considering that this is sent on March 11th, and they are discussing this double homicide amongst each other, the impact, send this screenshot one by one, and then
Okay.
there's multiple.
You're saying they're discussing this homicide amongst each other, but it is over an hour later that Mr. Stillwell says, my brother got killed, right?
Your Honor, I am pulling up the actual XRY to pull up the full file so I can.
Okay.
And from my perspective, we've been in this trial for a long time, and to just throw this post without any context or knowledge of who the author is or anything else, because, I mean, the state just, I thought they were saying at first that this is some scheme going on where Maine Lizard is saying one by one, we need to get them one by one, and
But
Shannon's
apparently that's
liking.
not what they're saying.
Right, well, there's a pretty big difference between those two things, and I keep going back, we don't know who the author is, and,
The author being the person who posted one by one?
right.
And I don't know, yeah, I mean, I guess in order for us to accept the theory that Maine Lizard and Mr. Stillwell are, I don't know, conversing in some way about the potential for some sort of revenge, it would certainly be helpful for the state to be able to establish that was a rival gang member. Although if a rival gang member posted something like that, why you would like that instead of dislike it, I don't know.
Well,
but-
you could, I mean, theoretically, you could like the fact that Maine Lizard told you because people have been trying to kill you for years, and those same people are posting one by one. I would appreciate the heads up that of that knowledge. And so that's my point. These are two very vastly different theories, and I just don't know how we can just, from my perspective, just be throwing these things in front of the jury without even the knowledge of who wrote this and the context in which it's being considered.
Your Honor, the state can, if the court permits, admit the statement of party opponent of the text and not show the jury the attachment
So
between these
the
two.
statement by a party opponent is he liked an image?
No, Your Honor, the text beneath that. The state cannot show him liking the one by one.
Okay, so then that would be him saying, my brother got killed, and then him saying, And who is 3188? Because that seems to be a different phone number than Main Lizard. So is this even the same, how can this even be the same text chain?
So, Your Honor, the green text is what is key to follow here, because when Detective Leonpacker ripped the phone, the SIM card is exchanged like quite frequently in the phone. And so this raw phone, the message sent from this,
Right?
there is multiple numbers for whatever reason or purpose, but there's SIM card switch in this phone. But this phone, this message, the green is from,
Mr. Stillwell?
Yes.
I got it. So this is Mr. Stillwell saying, in an entirely different conversation from the liked image, right?
yes, Your Honor,
My brother got killed.
correct.
And then a few minutes later to the same person saying, I had to hurry, I couldn't even think straight. Man, I'm effed up right now. I'm gonna just holler at you later. Okay, is
Yeah.
there objection to that? To Mr. Stillwell expressing grief at having lost somebody he knows?
No.
Okay.
Although I will just say, in the presentation of any of this to the jury, if there are clear conversations, like going back between 625, 3188, I don't have a problem with displaying them together, but I don't believe factually that if you looked at my client's phone, it would go from the Main Lizard to the 3188. So I think when we change people we're talking with, we probably need to have different exhibits, because it creates an impression that there was this, then this, and this, and I don't think factually that's correct. And I'm not saying the state is.
Yeah, I don't know why these were under the same thing, but
And Your Honor, the state has no, the state agrees with Mr. Sharp that when published to the jury, it will be clear that, whatever context or just that message itself.
Okay.
The reason they're saved like this is, the data is massive in XRY, and so the main point was to highlight what the state intends to introduce through this phone. Not necessarily, that's why it has the titles at the top of like.
Okay, but at the point in time when you introduce this, it's just going to be the 1039 and then the 1043 comments by Mr. Stillwell to 3188. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, so then the next, I guess, conversation is between,
So Mr. Nichols is Main Lizard. Now,
okay, but we're not using that one at this point. Do we know who, I mean, not that it never mind, it doesn't matter right now. Okay, moving on. His conversation with Brett Rossi.
I would ask the state for the relevance of.
Have we not established by now that Mr. Stillwell is from the Cleveland Avenue area of the city?
No, Your Honor.
We haven't?
Not Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Stillwell.
That's amazing, okay. All right, well then, I guess that's relevant.
Judge has a ton of shade today.
Yeah, well, frequents that area. We believe he's from Thomasville Heights, but he definitely frequents the Cleveland Avenue work. Maybe he considers himself from Cleveland Avenue, but we have not established Mr. Stillwell himself.
Okay,
Okay, if that's the relevance, I don't have any problem.
all righty, moving on to the next one, which is Mr. Stillwell and Funk.
I know, but, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Max knew that mic was a little hot. Kind of like mine today.
What's the point of this one? To show that they hang? Is there, well, I guess I should say, is there an objection?
I just don't understand the relevance. I think it's pretty,
Relevance?
Withdraw that.
All righty, they're not going to use that one. Okay, we've gotten through that folder. Or that subfolder. All right, go back out, and then the next thing is places. And this would be like where they grabbed his location from the phone? Or what is, okay. And so this is going to show that on 316 is 624, he's at Concourse Parkway. Is that where he picks up the
yes.
rental car? We've already established that. I mean, we saw him there at the rental car agency, so is there an objection?
I just didn't see the relevance. It's cumulative. If
Okay.
that's the purpose of it.
Is that the only purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to sustain the cumulative objection. All righty, and then we've got him at The day before, early in the morning, somewhere on Lucky Street. Is there an objection?
I didn't understand relevance.
Relevance. What's relevance? Okay. All right, let's go back out. And then our next subfolder is web searches.
Thank you so much to
And
Ace,
y'all, the drinks murder
who
is,
became a member. Real quick, we're going to take a quick break on that. Shout out to Sherry, who became a new member as well. Shout out to a girl from Texas with the 5. She says, AV, you're amazing. Such an inspiration. You've motivated me in so many ways. Our chat fam loves you, sis. Keep doing you and smiling bright. That is the plan when the audio works. Thank you so much, a girl from Texas. Shout out to Lovely May, who also became a member. Welcome, sis. You're going to love it here. And then real quick, I wanted to come to Montisha with the $3 super sticker. Thank you, Montisha. But really quickly, Jeff J, thank you so much for gifting 20 AV7 memberships. If you received a membership from any of the folks that have been gifting them, but thank you to everyone who has joined. Jeff is supporting our community. Things happen. They do. But we're patient over here. Thank you so much, Jeff, for gifting memberships and growing our community. If you received one from Jeff, please, 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 the names must be named. Please say thank you to Jeff. Let's keep going.
314 at around 9:30 PM, right?
To 10.
10, okay, somewhere, yes, you're right, okay.
So, I mean, I understand the relevance to this. You know, I'll let the court know that there was plenty of links sent to Mr. Stillwell and other people immediately after that death, inquiring if he's safe because there was news that someone was killed.
And this is all 3 days later anyway, okay.
And this is the same day that this appears to be the day after their home was shot up. So
Their home being,
this is
a lot of pronouns here.
a day after Waters Road was shot up, and then earlier in the morning before he was arrested, Your Honor. So we think that.
So the Waters Road, what time?
So Waters Road occurred at approximately 12 a.m. on March 16th.
So midnight going from the 15th to the 16th?
Yes, Your Honor.
So these are about 26 hours later.
Okay, and so these are things that he accessed over a full day later that deal with the fact that
Mr. Drink.
Drinks had been killed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Over 3 days after.
Well,
Drinks
you're
were killed.
right. And just that he accessed them. We don't know if it was him looking them up or somebody sending him a link and
Correct,
him
Your Honor.
hitting it or whatever.
But the fact that.
Okay,
searches
that
for
he-
that particular murders in his phone.
Well, we keep saying search.
That's, yeah. Are you showing that he searched for, like he sat down and typed into Google, Fox 5 Atlanta, Drinks killing?
Or that this website information is in his phone. We believe it's from a search of
He
going.
accessed it. You don't know whether he searched for it or whether somebody sent him a link and said, oh my gosh, look at what just happened.
Right, at some point, it opened up on his phone. So whether he searched it himself or someone sent it, it was accessed on his phone. Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to object to under 403, and the reason is.
There's a big difference between, oh, I'm going to go look at this information under the state's theory that I'm the one that committed it. Let me find out what is being published about it versus somebody sends me a link. Oh my gosh. And who knows whether these people even know each other, but assuming they did, so-and-so got killed. Oh, wow. Let me see.
You're right, but I think there is some relevance that there are multiple links to the same shooting, especially after.
So
And what else is going to come into evidence, Your Honor, there are going to be other posts. I believe it's Mr. Stillwell's post after Mr. McMillan, Mr. Ford is murdered, that says we're not going to be the only ones crying tonight. So the fact that after the murder of Mr. Drinks, that there are any searches or any information sent to him about the murder of Mr. Drinks is extremely relevant, given that.
3 days later,
But
if
this
it was
is-
like 2 hours later, it might be extremely relevant.
But this
3
is
days
all-
later, it might be relevant because relevance is a low standard. But the argument on the other side is overly prejudicial.
But it's also after their home was shot up and after we believe that when police went to the house, when police responded to that location, that very soon after police responded, all of the stuff in that home was gone by the time police did a search warrant on that house on March 17th. So the fact that you are searching at 2:30 in the morning, or this information is being sent to you at 2:30 in the morning, is relevant. This is still within only
2:30 in the morning, 3 days after Drinks is killed, and over a day after the Waters Road home is shot up,
And I
right?
think that's still information that is relevant and not substantially prejudicial, overly prejudicial, because of what is happening between these two gangs for the days leading up.
Between these two gangs, except that you have yet to establish that Mr. Drinks was in a rival gang. You're saying you're going to be able to do that?
We're going to be able to show that he was at least associating with individuals. The individual Barter, who he was with the day that he was murdered, is a member of YFN. We have other pictures that are going to come out very soon, that will come out through investigative Ivariso, we believe, that show that after this murder, they did not know who he was initially on day one. However, very soon, they saw other YFN members reposting him saying, rest in peace. That is when they learned of his association with YFN. And again, specifically, the individual who is known as Barter is also Christian Johnson. That is the person who was in the car with him. So the state will establish that there was an association, at least with a number of YFN members, given what was posted.
All right, and you're not necessarily going to be able, I don't even hear you saying you're going to be able to establish that Mr. Stillwell knew that Mr. Drinks was an associate of YFN. They're just, it's an inference to be made. Is that right?
It is an inference
Okay.
because there's a picture that was posted on at least March 12th in which Mr. Shell Keller, or Kelvin Watts, reposted a picture with Mr. Drinks, an individual by the name of Jasper Walters, who is a known YFN member, and Shell Kell, that has two shell emojis and two black zipper emojis. And we believe those emojis subliminally.
You're using the word wrong again, but okay. Like a hidden message.
A hidden
which is not the same
message.
thing as subliminal, but okay.
Oh, okay. So that we believe that those two messages were a message that they may have been the ones responsible for the death of McMiller and Ford. So those Instagram posts, which are relevant, we believe will come in. So to establish that it is relevant that he would be even concerned about this.
Okay.
Or that his
Accessing
phone-
a news article does not in any way indicate you are concerned about
not
anything. You have accessed a news article.
So when you access the news article and it appears multiple times.
Okay, and you do not know whether he searched it or whether somebody sent him the link. Is that right?
That is true, Your Honor.
Okay.
But the fact that people are sending the link of that particular murder, and we have calls on the wiretap in which they talk about, I think there's a call with Demekion Garlington in which people ask, why did they shoot up the house? And Demekion Garlington says, because their homeboy killed in Mechanicsville last night. This is what.
And is that the day after Drinks is killed?
This is a few days later after Drinks is killed.
No, when Garlington says, because homeboy got killed last night.
Oh, excuse me, yes, that one, but there's some other ones as well. So I think that this is relevant and not substantially prejudicial given the timeline of what has occurred between really March.
The yet to be established timeline. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, but that's because we're still putting.
I know you're still putting evidence up. I know.
And my 403 objection isn't just prejudice, it's also confusion to the jury, because, and I think this is kind of proving my point or my argument in some ways, because what I'm trying to avoid is we are on the 2-yard line of getting to the end of this case. And it seems to me that there is a potential that the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well, I think I'm concerned about this with Viv Reader. Like, for instance, when they just talked about the post by Shell Cal, there is no evidence that I know of that Shannon has ever seen that post. And with this, we have no idea as we sit here, and this is why I'm concerned about these Viverito files where it's just kind of a bunch of things thrown in there. We have no idea if it was a link sent, if it was a search. We have no idea of any of that.
Right.
And the jury will have no idea.
And you will have to point that out to them. So it's relevant, again, because of the low.
The fact that she said, and you will have to point that out to them, she's even saying that the state is doing a bad job. Guys, I don't have my laugh button yet, but wow, the shade is real today. So real, so real.
Threshold for relevance, and it is, in terms of confusion, I don't think that they're going to be able to establish more than that this was accessed.
These were accessed, these were searched for by the defendant. There's no messages where he received them. I've gone through the phone extracting. He went on to Safari and we either went to Fox 5 and clicked on the Windsor, whatever the title is, Windsor Homicide in Atlanta, or he typed in Windsor Homicide in Atlanta, and that's what was accessed with the Fox 5.
All right, and this is coming in through,
It's phone number.
I know, which witness is going to be explaining, here's how we get these things, and here's what we can tell from them.
It'll be a combination of Kevin Leon Packer and Marissa Viverito.
Well, let's hope it's mainly Leon Packer, who
But
seems to actually have expertise in cell phone search dump things. I don't know about Viverito's ability to say any of this.
And this may change after this conversation. My understanding going into today that the state's plan was just to admit the dump through Leon Packer and then have Viverito explain everything. And that's my concern.
Viverito, and does she have the expertise to be able to explain any of this?
So, Your Honor, Viverito has probably gone through 500 phones. She is in the gang unit, has actively phone dumps and Cellbrite. When I personally am taking in preps Detective Leon Packer, who's currently with the FBI.
Okay, and I know that he has expertise in it because he's testified about it in other of my own cases.
Correct, Your Honor. So what the state intends to do with Detective Leon Packer he was asked, Detective Vito goes to Leon Packer, as she's done hundreds of times, can you help me extract this phone? I have a
Right.
search warrant for it. Yes.
Okay.
Boom. Leon Packer will describe for the jury how XRY works, gray key works, all of that, what it means, what does the data come like when you get a message. He's not going to be publishing stuff because he never reviewed the content, but he was going to discuss and talk about how the data is kept. I may use like a
Atkins trying.
I'm not intending on using what we're litigating now with Detective
Right.
Leon Packer because he didn't personally go through this stuff. I may show like the central XRY, home screen that shows messages in Safari, but he's obviously.
All right, well, I don't think messages, I think most people grasp that messages can be extracted from phones, but something like this, that's showing web access. And we are all saying, well, okay, can you tell from this whether it was something that was sent or whether it was a search that he generated? Can anybody answer that question?
Yes, Your Honor. What we are showing, defendant Stillwell, access, search that. That is what we're showing.
Accessed it and searched it are not necessarily the same thing. I can access a link that you send me, or I can search for the same thing myself and find that same link. Is there any way to determine from this?
Yes, it's a search. You see where it says, there's one, for example, at 3:17, 2:33, 31 a.m., where it says web address is fox5atlanta.com/search. Where it says search there, that means he has searched for that web address.
Where does it say search? The one that said, sorry, it's about 1, 2, 5 or 6 down.
Or you could even go to the second one down, where it says it's
Okay.
similar, where it says fox5atlanta.com. You see where it says search? That means he searched for the specific.
Okay, I don't see that. I guess it's cut off. The /SE
Yes.
is going to ultimately say search.
Yes.
And is some witness going to be able to explain when you see /search, that means that it was a search?
Detective Leon Packer will be able to adequately explain that to a
Okay.
level that few people can.
Okay, all right then. So we do know that some of these were searches.
That's correct.
Well, and Your Honor, while we're saying some of these, I'm looking at,
I mean, I don't think we can see everything because it doesn't show the entirety of it. Are we going to be able to see the entirety of it?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's over it.
If there's a Zoom link, I can
She's
show
So
you.
like another one down there's like that one that has the red arrow, the one below that. You can't, both of those, you can't even see the end of, and I'm sorry, I don't know what the term is, but whatever that long string of slashes and dots and things are, you can't even see the end of it to see whether it says search. And then the next one down, you can't either. It's fox5atlanta.com/in. So do we know what those are?
Your Honor, we're double checking, but it's my understanding that this section came from the portion of his phone that says searches. So when you look at XRY, it has different categories. When you open up the searches categories, this is what.
All right, well, if he's able to, if there is a witness who is able to explain that, and then somebody can ask, does this include things that are sent to you? And he can say yes or no, I'm going to overrule the objection.
my other concern, Your Honor, is the presentation. I'm not an expert in these phones, but I'm just common sense wise, I'm looking at this. If you look at the time, access, the earliest time that I see is 2:31:56 a.m. It appears page title Fox 5. Okay, so someone goes to Fox 5 at 2:31 a.m. They're there at 2:33 a.m. Okay, that's not a search of anything, that's just being on Fox 5 website.
Are you
And
kidding?
then, based on what Mr. Abadi's saying, which I'm not saying is incorrect or correct, but it says 2:30, 3:31 a.m., and that's the search. And then it's just Fox 5 again. So while we have this big list that's creating the impression that there's a bunch of searches, it appears that all this really amounts to is one time going on Fox 5 and then doing one search.
I don't know whether it does or not. I guess Leon Packer will be able to tell us that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what, both of these pages is this one thing, essentially this one topic? Okay. And he'll be able to tell us, is this 8 or 12 different searches, or is this just, it refreshes and you're still on the page or something like that? Okay. All right, so. Is he going, I know he didn't look at it. You're saying he just did the dump, sorted it all out, and gave it to Viverito, right? But Viverito is not going to be able to tell us the answer to any of those questions, is she?
Your Honor, I do very much believe that she is very much equipped with her training experience to discuss, because she reviews these almost daily. I'm not saying
That doesn't mean she
but
knows what they
she's-
mean.
But she's had training on it, and defense can voir dire across. We're not putting her up as a cell phone extraction expert. We have Detective Liam Packer, who was going to describe that. But
Right, but
and
how about just have him look at that,
yes, Your Honor.
okay? And
Yes,
then
Your Honor.
he can explain it to us.
Yes, Your
'Cause
Honor.
I don't know that, I mean, I haven't heard anything that would make Viverito able to answer those questions. So as long as you, I mean, it's not much for him to look at. It's less than 2 pages.
Yes,
Have him
Your Honor.
look at that, and then he can explain it.
Yes, Your Honor.
All
And
right. Okay, and maybe she can say, oh, here's why it was significant in my estimation, because she's the investigator. But, all right, let's move on to the next topic.
So, Your Honor, the next one is a saved video.
Okay,
And it's a man, I do not know who it is, maybe the state knows who it is.
this is the 12 March one.
Yes, he seems to, yes, Your Honor, and he seems to be playing like DJ at home from his home and broadcasting on Instagram, and once in a while he'll rap along with the lyrics. And I will tell you that I'm fully aware that he's playing songs, well, he mentions Haiti Gang, If Gang in the third song. He does say F-U-C-K, YSL in between songs. I don't know who he is. He apparently doesn't like YSL. Don't know why that's relevant.
And this is something, where did this come from?
so, Your Honor, this was saved in defendant Stillwell's phone.
Okay,
And when the crime scene photographs get introduced of the March 11th double murder of Christian McMillan and Darius Ford, the vehicle that they were driving, he pulls up that video because it hit the news. The person who is actively saying F-U-C-K-Y-S-L puts the bullet-ridden car of Mr. McMillan and Mr. Ford on his public Instagram and is publicly saying,
okay, that's a part of this video, which for me has not opened.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And so the state feels that that level of blatant disrespect is highly relevant in the state's gang retaliation murder. I can't think of something more heartless than posting a bullet-ridden car after someone has been murdered on a highway and publicly, I mean, that is,
Okay, so this video, in addition to him playing DJ, has him posting on the video the car that McMillan and Ford were killed in.
yes, Your Honor.
It's a blurry video. It's about, it's a very
And
blurry video.
for whatever reason, Mr. Stillwell has that video saved in his phone.
Right, and we
Okay.
don't know who this man is.
What's your objection?
Relevance 403.
All of it.
We don't know who this man is at all, unless the state knows. And he's just disparaging YSL, and it's in my client's phone.
All right, that's relevant and not overly prejudicial. Now, given that I have yet to be able to open the video, how long is the video?
He goes through 3 songs. It's about 8 minutes. I would say.
Uh-oh, do we have songs?
And, Your Honor,
We have to be careful
I'll-
with songs. You guys know how YouTube is with songs. Real quick, want to come to Eric with the 2. Says, AV, your mic, your voice is super low when you talk. Thank you so much. We've been trying to adjust this brand new mic that just came in yesterday, along with the Rodecaster. Hopefully it is better. I have turned it up a bit. So thank you so much, Eric. Quay, another Quay has become a member. Welcome, Quay. You're going to love it here. And in about 56 minutes, we're going to be joined by Attorney Westmoreland, and we will have her thoughts on the case as well. Speaking of the Quays, right? So really excited for that one. Shout out to Talisha with the 2, says, okay, Judge, clocking that T on the state. That's right. Shout out to the one Lo-Fi 20 who says, thanks for all the support, sis. You're doing great. Thank you. Really need all that love today. You guys have been fantastic with our little audio issue this morning, but I appreciate all of the support. And then Jeff just gave you guys 10 more memberships. Thank you so much, Jeff. Very, very nice of you. Let's get back into the proceedings for the day.
I'll pull it up. I believe that that's accurate. The state does not intend to play. He's playing music that the state's going to play, and I can get those time hacks. And for to Mr. Sharp, it's going to be when he's publishing the bullet-ridden car and when he's saying
Bad things about
correct,
YSL.
correct.
Okay. All right, the next thing says location video. What is this?
I think that's just the location of, in Mr. Stillwell's phone that the video is found.
Okay.
Were
Is
they-
that just showing this video was found in his phone? All right.
Were we, nuts and bolts of presenting this evidence, were you guys seeking to admit this actual photo itself? I assumed you weren't, but if you are, I guess we just got to make sure there's nothing else on the photo.
No, I don't think it intends to introduce a photo, but to have a reference of the date and time that the video was saved to the phone.
Oh,
All right. Okay. All right, moving on to the next subfolder. That would be the first of several iPhone mini subfolders. There's a PDF within that. So this is more text from within the phone, is that right?
yes.
Okay, is there objection to any of those?
I just want to make sure I'm on the same one.
This one says 10/28/24, I'm not sure why, but,
I think that was the date that they created this. This one, I believe, I believe the state believes this is, is that correct? Conversation with Woody Lee.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any objection to this conversation. Can I just ask to state one thing? When these are compiled, this is the entire conversation over a certain time frame between the two individuals?
That's correct.
Okay, so nothing's been redacted or deleted or anything like that?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a.
all right, with any of it, it's several pages long?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And we will move on to the next iPhone mini subfolder. So this is a different text chain?
Yes, Your Honor, this is,
Is there objection to this one?
What was the relevance?
So there's a relevance objection. Do we know who he's talking to?
All this dead
Yeah,
silence.
we'll withdraw using this one, but the point was to show that around the time Mr. Zillow was using his phone.
Okay, well, they're withdrawing that one. All right, so then we're in the third iPhone mini folder. So this is Shannon texting Mr. Steele.
No, we're not going to use that one.
Okay, withdrawing that one.
Oh, we're getting rid of a lot of evidence, so
The
that's
fourth
good.
folder has a file and a PDF and an export. What should we look at first?
And Judge, I'll withdraw this one too. because
All right.
it establishes a shooting on the expressway.
Okay. So
I'm sorry.
they're withdrawing it.
Is this the one with 224-391-9924? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to, what is the 5th of the Stillwell iPhone mini folders? And that one contains a chat with Bottom Boy for Life. And I guess you read up from the bottom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So this text chain starts in the afternoon of March 11th of 2022. On the 12th, they're booking sessions, presumably in a studio, and then Mr. Stillwell asked them to bring some bullets, which I assume is why y'all want this. And then they're talking sessions again on the 14th, talking about dropping songs and videos, and then that's it, right? In the very first page is like a summary of the things that are significant, or a sampling of the chat, or what is that? Because that's where it's got the,
So I knew Mr. Sharp want the entire conversation, so I obviously printed or was able to get the entire conversation, but the very first page is what's relevant, that's why it's highlighted.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but that isn't all of, that you're going to show. You're going to show the whole conversation, or what's your intent?
I intend would be to show the first page,
Okay.
show that we can admit it with the full conversation, but it's in order. That first page at the
All
bottom.
right, I think that's, is there an objection?
Well, there is. I think that.
What's the
there's something-
objection?
Unless there's something prejudicial, I think we need to have the entire conversation.
Okay, I would sustain that. So the full conversation can come in, the highlight sheet is confusing, misleading.
I did not believe that the state was planning on introducing a.
So it's a
highlight
good thing I
page.
asked,
Yes, I appreciate it.
because it was confusing me. So let's just, for the rule of completeness, put the whole conversation in.
Well, there's some where the whole conversation is going to be 850.
Well, maybe there won't be an objection to those. We'll see as we go along. All right, so no objection as long as that,
I'm going to object for the record to the 3/12/22 statement, bring me some FM bullets like 15.
And-
And the reason I'm saying that is because this is leading up to the Drinks murder. Mr. Drinks was not, the ballistics did not come back to an FN gun. There's no link to the Drinks murder.
well, then that's good for you.
That is
But
true.
the fact that he's asking for bullets is relevant on the state side.
Thank you.
Okay, so overruling that objection and moving to our next folder down.
More scrambling and scraping for evidence.
Do we know who he's talking to here? Or what that attachment is?
So, Your Honor, I'll this one. This was also about the highway.
All right, withdrawn.
She totally
Are
is.
we,
Thank you, Deonra.
we're talking about the one with D?
All right, so we're now at the last of the iPhone mini subfolders within this subfolder.
I got confused, I'm sorry. D is Demikian Garlington. That's why this entire, I apologize, that's why this entire text chain is relevant.
All right, so we need to go back up then, back
Sorry.
to that one, okay. So the second to the bottom of the folders, this is a conversation with Mr. Garlington,
Yes, Judge.
and it starts on March 7th.
So in the beginning of the conversation, some context, there's a lot going on in Shannon's phone. There's a few things, and they're easily confused. Miss Alexander, who is on the state's witness list, who's the owner of a gun that the state is alleging Mr. Stillwell was in possession with on the 17th when he was arrested. That's his girlfriend at the time.
That's the one he goes and gets the car with.
Yes. So there's a lot going on. Miss Alexander made an allegation about a fight between her and Mr. Stillwell. Okay, so there's talk about police reports involving that.
Okay.
Simultaneously, Miss Alexander, there's actually a video of it, it was complete self-defense, but she was walking into an apartment complex, and two people with masks and guns out ran up on her. Miss Alexander pulled out the FN gun, which is her gun, and started shooting multiple times. And this is on video, and she was never charged.
Okay.
But there's a lot of
Wait,
concern
what?
about, Miss Alexander's the one that's initially asking about renting cars and all that, because there's concern that the robbers are coming after Miss Alexander because she was so bold to shoot at them when they had guns out and were robbing her. So there's a lot of police talk. I'm going to object to, for instance, the beginning of this,
Yeah.
which if we're going backwards, it's 19 going to 18 because it's Mr. Stillwell in a very inartful ways expressing his frustration with Miss Alexander for calling the police on him and putting his jeopardy at risk. So I'm trying to give the context and the
Okay.
background of some of these things.
All right, so go into the bottom, page 19, and then up onto page 18, and how, these are all conversations on March 7th. Is there any relevance to any of the conversation on March 7th?
So I guess this is the frustrating part. I provided all of it because that's what was requested.
Okay.
But obviously, we don't hear what happened.
All right, so where do y'all want to start with what you would be interested in presenting?
So. So, page 6 of 19.
6, okay. Thank you. And I appreciate, and I'm sure Mr. Shard appreciates you giving the full conversation so that he can sort it out. All right, going to page 6. At this point, we're on March 12th in the evening. Where y'all fixing to go? And then Meat got killed, question mark? I don't know. People are talking about it on Twitter. Mr. Shannon says, what happened? And this is Garlington? I don't know.
Right, and I don't believe,
That doesn't seem relevant because they didn't move on from that.
and I
I might get me a session.
don't believe meat has anything to do with this case either.
What's the state's position on that? Nobody seems to know anything about it. This is just like, oh my gosh, I heard something.
Okay, we won't use it.
All right, so moving up to page 5. Is there anything on there? Okay, so page 4, be ready, bro, been ready. Share your location, and then he says, be there in 3 minutes, turn it on your street outside.
This is the day of the murder, Your Honor.
Okay,
And Demikian Garlington is believed to be in the car with defendant Stillwell when they shoot and kill Shamel Drinks.
all right, so this is just showing that he possibly is still in the car 6 hours later,
I'm not showing it.
5 hours later.
No, this is before.
Correct, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, right, no. This conversation is before, and it is being offered to show that at some point in time, they appear in the afternoon to have been riding around together, and so 5 hours later, Garlington might still have been in the car with him.
He is.
You believe-
Do we already know that from the video?
No, Your Honor.
We have phone records that places
Okay.
Mr. Arlington at the gas station around the time of the murder, and we're also on, at the time, Your Honor, we are on a wiretap with Mr. Arlington that also placed him in the location, but also some of those calls, Your Honor, that the court has listened to with the wiretap calls are from the day of the murder. One of the calls that I think the court has excluded was the call in which Mr. Garlington, I don't know if you remember the call that Mr. Garlington is on the phone with Mr. Boyer, and Mr. Boyer says, "Tell Shannon I'm around," or I'm hurrying up. That is the call that we believe establishes that both Mr. Garlington and Mr. Stillwell are together at the time of the murder.
Okay, all right. So this one that shows they were together,
Just that they haven't together all that day,
Well,
March
then-
14th. We do think that establishes some relevance, because he also, we believe that Mr. Garlington goes to the tent place with Mr. Stillwell. We believe that we have information of that from the wiretap as well, Your Honor, but that's not coming in. That's not coming in. We also have Mr. Stillwell's location data to show that they went to go get tinted. And so we believe the fact that Mr. Garlington is with him most of the day on the 14th is relevant.
it does not show that he is with him most of the day on the 14th. It shows that at just before 5 p.m. on the 14th, he seems to pick him up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right.
5 p.m. we believe that the information on the tent is after that location as well. But around 5 p.m., at least from 5 until 10 o'clock p.m., we believe they're together.
Okay, and so, is there any objection to that?
I'm going to concede the relevance to that. I do have a question, as we're going to work through this. In this chat, there's these WCFs and MP3s. And this one on page 4, there's WCF. Do we know anything about what that is or means?
I think it's VCF, but
Oh,
yes,
yeah, VCF.
that's,
I'm sorry, what is it, WCF? VCF.
I mean, I suspect it's him sharing his location, since right before that it says share your location, but,
Correct. If you're in the phone number and you click on it, it'll share its location. This is the easiest way to share it with everyone. We
That's fine.
Mistakenly go through the phone number.
that's fine. Okay, so these, I guess, pages 4 and 3
Yes, Your Honor.
will come, 3 up to number 5 will come in, right? And we don't know what the MP3, that's just some song they're listening to or something, we don't know.
Correct, it's a song.
Okay, so. Okay, and then the next thing is midnight-ish, the next morning, trying to hit this girl, his sister, yeah, you good?
I believe that would be conversations of what's going on at the studio. I'm
So
on it.
presumably, right, by 12:17, they are not together, presumably, which is fine.
Thank
But,
you for
okay,
the
so
membership,
pages
Clay.
3 and 4 will be coming in from this one. All right, so moving down to the last of the folders within this little group. Do we know who he's talking to in this one? Mech? And where is the relevant part start?
I'm not sharing any attorney-client privileged material. I will say from the context of the chat, it appears that it's another young lady that he's having some sort of sexual relation. A
Is,
paramour.
Who was it? Because we've been hearing some things, Max.
so is there any relevance on this? What is this being offered for?
No, I think the objection would be cumulative.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's, I don't,
If you go down, if you were to look at the whole PBS,
Uh-huh.
talking about the expressway shooting, how big Chris got killed. So I pulled everything that related to relevant things as I was going through the phone. But I would assume the objection is going to be cumulative because we're talking about big dead bra and is it Christian Stock, which would have been one of the people who was shot. So, and Christian shot. So they're talking about Ford and McMiller getting shot on the expressway. So I can withdraw the sheet for this change because I assume the objection would be cumulative.
if that was the purpose of it, to show his basically his knowledge of the Christian McMillan.
Yes.
Okay. I think it is cumulative, but And I don't think anyone's going to deny that he had knowledge of that.
You don't think anybody's going to what?
I don't think anyone, meaning me, is going to deny that he had knowledge of Christian McMiller. There is for that.
Okay, so, I mean, so are you objecting or
I
not?
think it's cumulative.
And are objecting on that basis? Okay. And does the state want to insist on this, or, okay, the state will withdraw this. All right. So I think then we go back out to the beginning of this link, Dropbox link, and we'll move on to the folder that says iPhone 13. And within that folder, there are 5 subfolders. Shall we just start with audio files at the top?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion?
Uh-huh.
Maybe, I believe that there's going to be three more chats.
Okay.
Maybe just go through.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so down to the first of the Shannon Stillwell iPhone 13 subfolders.
And while they pull all of that up, huge shout out to Buddy. Thank you so much. He says that new mic makes you sound like $1 million production studio. Love it. Yes, listen, we're trying. We had started the stream with some audio issues, but I think that it is stabilized and fine now. So thank you so much, Buddy. Shout out to Nikki, who became a member. Welcome, Nikki. You're going to love it here. Mark, the paralegal, became your new stream sponsor and gave out 20 memberships that are going to come in handy in about 34 minutes. Thank you, Mark. We have our special guest, Nicole Westmoreland. I do have another attorney from the case popping in this weekend as well. I'll let you guys know all about that later on, but thank you so much for your patience. And Mark, thank you so much for growing the community. If you receive one of those memberships from Mark, please say thank you to him. Nikki gifted 5 more. Thank you so much, Nikki. Very, very sweet of you. Engelbert became a member. Welcome, Engelbert. And then shout out to Candy Yates with the 20. She says, hey, AV, I love your poll. Some social media posts is all the state has. That's not even good. Yeah, and some of you guys are talking about the whole thing with some of the rumors we've been hearing this week. I'm trying to stay focused though, so thank you so much. And then I'm gonna catch this real quick. Love Curly here just because Attorney Westmoreland is joining us, and I want the members to be able to ask her questions in addition to my own. So thank you so much. Love Curly here with the 20. She says, hello everyone, first day of vacation. Might go to the Taj Mahal. Wow, are you in India or the Great Wall of China? Okay. Hello, AV, looking beautiful. Had a bad work week, so happy to be here with you all. My sexy Max, wishing the last 2 of the best luck. Thank you so much. I totally hear that. All right, guys, let's get back on into it. And yes, you might notice a new setup, a new roadcaster, new microphone. We're getting this room soundproofed this weekend as well. So lots of upgrades that are happening. Even got myself a new executive chair. All right, we trial watch over here. This thing, hold on, let me show you real quick. You're gonna love it. That's why I was so excited for this stream today. This thing massages you. It heats up. It got a footrest. We are in. We're in. We're doing this thing. We are doing this thing. Thank you so much. Loves curly hair. Let's get back on into it.
Do we know who he's talking to here?
The first entire issue, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor. At the time, that was Mr. Stillwell's girlfriend.
Miss Alexander?
Yes.
Okay. Any objection? And I guess the relevant part and starts on what page? 28?
Yeah.
All right, so, and I guess we'll see whether there's an objection to, or rule of completeness objection on this one or not, because it looks like if we look at the kind of summary sheet, it's that first page where she's saying whatever she's saying and he's saying whatever he's saying back. Mr. Shard, is there an objection to that? And do you want the entire 28 pages in, or do you just want there to be some sort of an indication through whomever this comes in with? There was other chit chat, but here's the relevant part of it, and we condensed it.
I would like the context, and I believe the state has done this, but to the extent that that hasn't been done, there is, and I get it, there's talk about the rental, extending the rental, all of these things. I don't have a problem with that. My concern, and I've articulated to the state, and I think they've addressed it, is that there was a lot of sex talk, and things of that nature, and any references to the unrelated case of Ms. Alexander making accusations against Mr. Stillwell in Cobb County, which was, Ms. Alexander was trying to straighten things up with what really happened with the investigators to withdraw that warrant at that time. And so that's in the conversations, but.
Is that within the first 28 pages?
It appears to me that the state has redacted it.
Okay. Okay, so the state will publish this, well, I guess we'll seek the admission of the first 28 pages?
Yes, sir.
And is there an objection to that? Assuming that the 2 items you just mentioned have been redacted out?
There is, yes.
Okay.
On page 8, I almost forgot about this, on page 8, there's some drug talk on the bottom. I would object to that.
So not the nachos, right?
No, not, the nachos are good.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, sorry.
Adding
On the wrong
Nachos are
page.
good. We love nachos.
Right.
I
Oh,
want some right
okay.
now.
I was reading things in the worst way possible.
Reading like prosecutor, Mr. Sharp.
Don't say that.
That's me, Mr. President.
Well, he's reading it like a cautious criminal defense attorney. Okay, so no objection to this 28 pages. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll look at the next folder. Who's he talking with this time? Do we know?
I believe it's another female.
It's a paramour.
Okay. And
The important part about it,
is that he deleted his Instagram?
correct,
Okay.
the day after, right?
Well, may I just have a,
Mm-hmm.
right. My understanding, based on the conversation with Miss Alexander, is that can I come back to that? I honestly didn't realize that that was the state's point of this one. And I think I'd like to talk to the state about it.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. So moving on to the third file.
Welcome, Cheyenne. Welcome to the squad. Thank you for becoming a member.
I believe, and I don't know how the mechanics of the phone work, but I believe that this is a duplicate of the BM conversation that was in the other phone
That's correct,
that I think the state withdrew. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
So are y'all withdrawing this one also?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So what do we do next?
There's, the iPhone notes is very quick.
Okay. What is this showing? And is there any objection?
My understanding is that the facts, as they come out, will reveal that Mr. Stillwell was in the studio. This is a lyric that was put in like the notes section of his phone, like I remember something or something like that. And I believe the facts will show that he was at the studio at that time. So I'm going to object relevance in 403 and give him the state.
Your Honor, Mr. Shard is correct in terms of the state does believe he's at the studio. The state included this because this is March 15th at 12:52 a.m. So the murder, we believe, was March 14th at around 10 o'clock, 10:02 p.m. And so a couple hours later, while at the studio, this is just a note that, just like what Mr. Shard said, he typed, like you can make an Apple note to yourself to save. And the second line says, poor little ops, which state believes is opposition gang members, look how they're just dropping. So the state believes, and the jury confer what they want, that this is relevant because roughly almost a little shy of 3 hours later, he's in a studio making music and he's writing a line that the state believes is about 3 hours after a murder of a opposition member.
And the line is, poor little ops look like they're dropping.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't see that anywhere on there, but I assume.
It's on the right side, Your Honor, under details, where
Oh, there it is.
And-
Okay.
this specific one is a screenshot from the XRY system. So the left is all the messages, and if you
Okay.
click one, it opens it on the right.
Thank you.
Yes,
All right,
Your Honor.
what's the objection?
Relevance in 403.
All right, overruled.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Logistically, when the state introduces this, now that it's been ruled admissible, like, are we going to show this whole sheet with all this other stuff? Are we just going to,
No, we will just show that note, Mr. Chard.
okay, and then someone will be able to explain where it came from in his phone and all the rest?
Correct.
And that it's while he's in the studio.
Well, him being in the studio part would come from the person discussing the cell phone extraction won't be able to say where there's other evidence about his location because it's a little unique because you have an ankle monitor, you have cell phone records, and you have the wiretap. But yes, Your Honor, which sometimes.
Okay, so that takes us to the audio files, I guess. Yes, let's take a quick restroom break.
We have loads of TiVo time, so we good over here. And that was a long restroom break they took, so we're gonna skip right through that. Shout out to Miss Weaver back on court reporting duty.
This is the PDF of the Garlington's Instagram. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yeah, I opened it and it shows nothing, nothing at all.
What I wanted to do briefly was it's the same Instagram return, but on two separate dates. There's two PDFs of Demekion Garlington's Instagram that have been identified in this. I wanted to combine them. We can go through separately, but I wanted to quickly merge those two PDFs and send to all so that there's one
Okay,
document.
why don't you do that? 'Cause I don't know why, like when I first opened it, it showed a Huey thing and Garlington, but when I click Garlington, there's nothing there.
It will not take me very long, Your Honor.
That's fine. Oh, there it is. Anyway, you're going to combine something and send us another link, so I don't need to look at this after all? Or
Not if
couldn't open
the.
just give it another shot?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did y'all get a chance, or Mr. Sharp, did you get a chance to circle back on
Oh, I'm sorry.
that, the text that wanted to show that I deleted Instagram, or we need to come back to that later?
We can come back to that.
Okay. And are y'all still planning, I think at some point, state, y'all said that you don't intend to use a PowerPoint with video anymore? Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Oh my God. Guys, huge
So just
shout
kind
out
of doing
to,
some housekeeping.
real quick, huge shout out to Michael Love, who is making it rain in the chat right now. He's gifting you guys 50 AV to the Seventh Power memberships. Look at that. It is raining in the chat, and that is actually about to come in handy in about 21 minutes. Thank you so much, Michael Love. He's always taking care of me. He knows I work hard. He knows I don't eat when I should because I'm always streaming. And one of my favorite subscribers, he's always sending cash apps like, hey, here's $100, get dinner tonight. You know, here's $80, get dinner tonight. You know, like every other day. But right now, instead of doing that, he is gifting you guys 50 AV memberships and just became your stream sponsor. Michael Love, thank you so much. You already know what it is. I really appreciate all the support, especially on days like this. Sometimes we have rough starts, and you know, I can't tell you guys how hard I worked in this room yesterday. It was the first day off we've had in court, and I was like, let me move some lights around. Let me put some sound panels up. Let me make sure it's comfortable for me and the audience. And also, at the same time, when attorneys come on in, I want to make sure that the composition, not competition, composition looks good as well. So I really put a lot of effort into this. So thank you, Michael Love. I really appreciate you growing the community. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. And if you guys received a membership, please say thank you to him. He did not have to do that. 50 is a lot. It is a lot of money. So Michael, thank you for doing that.
So operating under the Harvey rule before everybody else was out of this case, Mr. Matthews had filed a motion in limine about the PowerPoint, and Mr. Steele had as well. I would assume that's all mooted if the PowerPoint's not being used, right? So toss of those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but then there also was a separate motion in limine about text messages pertaining to Overt Act 123 that Mr. Matthews had filed. Is that anything we need to still take up?
No.
Okay, toss that too. And is Mr. Kendrick's guilty plea still, are y'all still intending to tender that?
Yes, Your Honor, we did have some conversation about limited instructions regarding both Mr. Kendrick's conviction as well as Mr. Stillwell's conviction, even though Mr. Stillwell's conviction is already in, I believe, evidence.
Y'all, I don't know if it, y'all say it is.
And I think Mr. Kendrick, I believe it was.
Y'all said that there were Stillwell, Winfrey, and Nichols convictions already in from before I was involved.
And now we have Kendrick.
And we don't have Kendrick's yet, but we're going to have Kendrick's in at some point.
Yes, Your Honor.
And yeah, we need a limiter, and I guess I'll just say at the time when I give it on Mr. Kendrick's conviction, by the way, there was a conviction in, are they all guilty? I know Mr. Winfrey's was in Alford, right?
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
The second time.
Yes.
Were Nichols and Stillwell's that came in guilty pleas also?
I'd have to
I think
look
Mr.
at those.
I need to look at it, but I believe they are.
Okay, I think so, but let's double check on that. And so I'll just say, you know, that earlier in the trial, is it a conviction or more than one? Y'all need to give me the details if you don't mind, of co-defendant Nichols, Mr. Stillwell, and co-defendant Winfrey. Maybe I'll do Winfrey separately. Came in, and this instruction applies to those as well, whatever instruction it is that I give.
Yes, Your Honor. And I figured the instruction that the court had crafted when we were wrestling with the Ryan conviction before deciding not to admit.
Yeah, so, okay. So what I was going to read for whenever Mr. Kendrick's conviction came in was, maybe I better pull it up, because I don't know if what I think it was, let me just check my folder, see if I made any edits to it. So I was trying to think of some other things while Mr. Adkins consolidates, whatever that is he's consolidating.
Your Honor, I have now successfully consolidated.
All right. Have you, so you'll send that over to us?
Your Honor, I uploaded it to what was that same folder that says Demikian Garlington Instagram.
Okay.
I deleted the old one and uploaded the updated PDF.
Okay.
for state? What's going on?
Okay, perfect. It seems to work fine. Appreciate that, Mr. Atkins and Mr. Batag. You can have your thumb drive back. You might need it for something else. Thank you very much. All right, where should we begin on this Garlington Instagram?
It's, from my perspective, it's a, first of all, these are all from 2021, 2019 is my understanding. So none of anything that's said is close in time to either homicide that my client is charged with.
Okay,
I just, my review of it was, I was unsure of what the state really wanted to get out through this and what portions of this they actually wanted to admit, so.
all right. So our very first thing, I guess everything that is, you just sent is something that the state intends to introduce?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
There may be a couple, well, I pulled, these fall into two buckets. One is messages with who the state believes to be defendant Stillwell because of his Instagram handle, which is OG Bull. And Demekion Garlington is where this Instagram thread, his IG return is, and his name on Instagram is Scarface with an X replacing the C. And so, like, the very first page is a direct message between Demekion Garlington and Stillwell. There, when we get a little bit deeper into this, there is Instagram group threads where, when I'm looking at these group threads, a number of people, and when we get to that, I'll explain more, to include Mr. Stillwell, are a part of. And there's a number of reasons why the state, some are for, they're just a variety. Yes, Your Honor.
Through them. So the first one is page 2879. And the highlighted part is OG Bull saying, in 2021, real 30 deep SHIT.
Yes, Your Honor. This was the jury has heard evidence about Demekion Garlington, Kenneth Copeland, and Shannon Stillwell being 30 deep and then becoming, so it's just and this is a conversation between Demekion and Shannon Stillwell. So that one line, the state just wanted to highlight that in a private message referencing that.
The objection?
Cumulative, at this point, I think it's, if the point is to show that Mr. Stillwell has knowledge or potentially a prior affiliation with 30 deep, I think that has been discussed ad nauseum at this point.
And so, Your Honor, the unique from the state's perspective is private group threads or messages are different than public displays. And so there's been a lot of argument and such about promotion and, you know, what someone publicly posts. So how people speak, whether on a wiretap or on Instagram, to one another in private, the state feels is relevant and has not been admitted to my memory between this specific point between Garlington and Stillwell.
All right, I'll admit that over objection. So the next thing is 8734. So somebody, keep up, whatever, is talking to who you believe is Mr. Stillwell, and they both say slat.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. The state does not need this one.
Okay, so that's been withdrawn.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next one is 8763.
The state will not use that one either, Your Honor.
All right. 8793.
So 8793, and Your Honor, permission to remain seated?
That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. 8793 and 8794. So Slime Life Shorty is Wooney Lee, who testified. This is one of those group threads.
Okay.
So this is September 9th, 2019. He sends this flyer, which we've heard testimony about the Rudy Gang 4L. So this flyer that Wooney Lee sends is like it says, you know, you can see the flyer on the next page.
Yep.
It's at Cleveland Avenue Park, and it has the YSL there with a lot of what the jury has heard about of the snake emoji, the green heart, and Rudy Gang 4L, which came up some with also Rodelius Ryan's Instagram. And then following beneath it, 8795, you have Little Quay 1, everybody be there. And then, you know, everyone's saying get to Crucial tonight, like they're basically wanting to celebrate. And then 1B Slime. And this is where there's some connections in terms of 1B Slime came up in Rodelius Ryan's Instagram. And this group thread, they're all talking about, and when we argue the wiretap, so there's a number, I'm a little bit all over the place because there's a lot of reasons the state wants to introduce this. This specific thread is one where if you go to page 8796, defendant Stillwell is a part of this because OG Bull, where he says, let's go FUCK crucial up and get out of there the old slime way. The state feels that it's highly relevant with, you have Christian McMiller in this thread, you have Winnie Lee in this thread, you have 1B Slime, whose last name is, we talked about it last week, I can't remember off the top of my head, but films a music video at 2830 Waters Road, which is the address we've talked about. And you also have Unfunk, which is 2X_UNFOONK, which is the brother of defendant Williams.
Okay.
And so,
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
So and this is just kind of because when y'all display these, it's easier, I think, for everybody to follow the parts that y'all think are relevant. You highlight most of them, but then you miss some every once in a while. And like the OG Bull, let's go F crucial up and get out of there the old slime way is not highlighted, which took me a minute to find it, which is fine. But just that's.
Your Honor, I will, I do sometimes inadvertently do not highlight, or I miss a highlight.
It's fine. Just kind of letting you know.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have several issues.
All right.
First of all, in the beginning, Slime Life Shawty posts this picture of Rudy, and they're going to celebrate with Rudy, or Rudy's memory. The body says 3.5 of runts because these HOES only want a perk. I don't know why that.
I don't know where you are at this point.
It says on the top of 8793, where it says body,
Oh, okay.
3 point.
Can we get that out of there? The 3.5 of runs because these hoes only want a perk?
Yes, Your Honor, and that was, yes.
Okay. All right.
My
What
other
else?
issue is that, we have this, it's coming across as a threat. B Slime, who's deceased. Is he not? Okay, I take that back. He is not deceased.
He'll be glad to know that.
Yes, and says, okay, Slime Life Shorty, 1623, 423 UTC time. We'll just go by UTC time. YSL, the new mob, I don't know nothing about no fourth ward. Okay, and they're talking about coming out as the mob.
Right.
It's Mob Deep, the only way I'm going out. B-Slime says that. So B-Slime and Slime Life Shorty are having this conversation. And then B-Slime says, them guys goof troops. Them guys want to be us. Okay, them guys. Fast forward 3 hours. And then only Shannon is talking about is, let's go to Crucial, the old slime way, and then Tunk said we get in our original session in bottles. So we can label this as like a continuous thread, but it spans over 3 hours, and there's absolutely no evidence that Shannon was on his phone or had any involvement with.
Paying attention to the first part of it, not that the first part of it
All he's talking about was going to a club that night.
Yeah.
And these are all words of people that have not testified, they're not going to testify. So
I mean, in all honesty, this just looks like a bunch of people going, hey man, are we going to go out tonight?
Right.
It better be fun if we're going.
The part we also haven't talked about is YSL is the new mob. I don't know nothing about Ninth Ward. And then when this is what plays into the wiretap, where I have addressed this to the court before, Unfunk is, because YSL is a hybrid gang, is Goodfellas. And so when Miles Farley is getting attacked by YFN and a subset of Goodfellas in 2022, they are, when he says YSL is the new mob, knows nothing about Ninth Ward, he is talking about, they're joking because Unfunk is in this thread. And so that's why a couple lines later, he says, y'all have the mob messed up, talking about a criminal street gang. And then he says, FYSL, and they're basically like, I knew you were going to say that. And they also send a flyer for Hood Day, and defendant Stillwell sends the Boo Land, which is 8797. We've heard ample testimony about Big Boo in Cleveland. This same photo came up in Rodelius Ryan's Instagram, And so this is a connection between both witnesses who've testified, defendants on this indictment, co-conspirators that have a group thread that, yes, sometimes they do talk about what would be mundane topics, but other times, and when we get deeper into this, the court will see, they talk about shooting people. So this group thread is active. As anyone has had a group thread that probably everyone in this courtroom has had before, you know, you may not look at your phone for 5 hours, but if you get a message, you can see every message, you're on it. And Instagram shows you when someone removes themselves or gets kicked out of a group thread conversation. So, you know, just like, so the fact that there is a group thread with a number of who the state has either presented evidence or proffered, YSL members and associates, that essentially this goes on for days, right? It's a group thread. They talk frequently. And so the state's tried to highlight times when they're talking about what the state believes is, you know, criminal street gang or RICO enterprise activity or crimes. And so this goes on for a number of pages where the state, you know, just as we talked about previously with Ryan and Blaylock's Instagram, sometimes, you know, not every comment the state is intending to show because it's a group message. But the state feels that
The fact that they're all on a group thread?
that has value in and of itself, yes, Your Honor. And then the
Okay.
way that they communicate, for example, solidarity and fostering cohesion is what Kemp v. State and the co-conspirator case law for 801D2E addresses. And so this kind of group thread where Winnie Lee sends a flyer, hey, everybody come out to the Hood Day, and then has YSL, you know, it's Rudy's slimy 18th release, and, you know, long live Rudy, Rudy Gang for life. These are the same messages that 3 years later, you know, Rodelius Ryan is posting on his Instagram of Rudy Gang 4L. And so it shows to the jury and that, you know, Winnie Lee in 2019 is in a group thread with Unfung, Shannon Stillwell, Demekion Garlington, and
Okay.
B. Slime is Jeffrey Williams' nephew.
Alrighty.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean,
But why, I don't understand why we would need, if the point is that there's just a group thread with a bunch of guys on it, why can't we just say there's a group thread with a bunch of guys on it? Why would we
That is
need
correct,
to get
Max.
into what B-Slime's saying about them guys goof troops, where, again, Shannon is not actively participating? I mean, I've never, and I don't have a lot of group chats, but I've never got on a group chat and felt the need to say, hey, man, what you said 4 hours ago, I really disagree with that.
okay, well, you're going to have to argue that, I guess. I mean, I don't think there's anything particularly revelatory about this particular conversation, but, you know, the state can make their argument about it, and the defense can make their argument about it. I hope we don't have a whole lot more of these, though, because,
Understood, Your Honor. There is, so if we go a little further down after the photograph, which is 8797 PDF page 8 of Big Boo. So Shannon Stillwell says, PFK looks crazy. We're going to tear that up. I'm putting you down now. I'm on the BS. PFK is Play for Keeps, which is another criminal street gang. And so when they keep talking, he says, if we get into it, everybody go for a chain. And then Winnie Lee and 05 Driving Slim is Christian McMiller, who says, if expletive don't ride, you better ride back with the ops. You'll be safer with them. And then this is the classic fostering solidarity where they're talking about possibly getting into it at, I believe, a nightclub or somewhere where PFK is probably on Instagram. And they're like, we're about to go there. And then he says, keep up, we up says, is it a particular person you're talking about who's not going to ride? And then Christian Miller says, hell no, just a
Right.
friendly reminder, which again, sets the tone that if something goes down, whether it's physical or gun violence, you better all ride for each other, or if not, you're going to be safer going home with the ops because you're not going to be part of the.
okay.
So.
And then that goes on for how long? Through 8800, or is that a separate one?
I apologize, Your Honor. What did you say? The
That
page number?
text chain goes through 8800?
Yes,
Do
Your
we
Honor.
need that part?
Your Honor, what I can do, and I endeavored to do this, but understand the court's position will, with this specific larger group thread, will highlight what the state believes is the most relevant of possible relevant evidence so that it does not become cumulative or something of that nature when admitting a larger thread. And what I can do is try to have accurate highlights for what the state in this group thread exactly intends to,
Okay,
oh, yes, Your Honor. I do want 88.
okay. All right, so then we move to 8802.
And Your Honor, 8802 is not one the
All
state,
right, guys, so listen,
well,
it is 3 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and pause the proceedings for the day because we have a special guest and I'm so excited to chat with her. So I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment and bring up our guest, Miss Westmoreland. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's so good to chat with you.
Same. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm sure a lot of people have. You've been a popular lady these past few days, huh?
Somewhat.
Okay, I see that. I see that. Well, listen, I want to be super respectful of your time. Also, say thank you in advance. I chose not to practice, but I know hours are billable, right? So definitely want to be thoughtful of your time. So you and I have kind of talked a few days about, you coming on, talking a little bit about the experience with your client. For those that don't know you, which I think is going to be rare in this audience, tell us a little bit more about you and your involvement in this case.
Okay, so I'm Nicole Westmoreland, and I was co-counsel with attorney Bruce Harvey, and we represented Mr. Nichols in what is commonly referred to as the YSL Trial.
Awesome, awesome. And for those that are unfamiliar, what charges was Mr. Nichols facing?
So he was facing murder, RICO, gang count, firearms, more than one firearm count. So it was a lot.
Okay, okay. And then is he in good spirits, like after the result of what you guys have seen last week?
Oh, absolutely. He was smiling ear to ear. I was sent a few pictures from individuals, that did screenshots, I guess, of the live feed. And, he was smiling ear to ear and he was happy. He is happy. He's currently happy.
Okay, great. And then just a quick question. Would you happen to have some headphones nearby that you could plug in?
Do you hear echo?
Yeah.
I do too.
Okay. If you don't, it's okay. We can make something happen.
All right, we're going to work on it.
Okay. All right, awesome. What I can do in the meantime is I'll mute myself so that way when you're talking, that should help with the echo part.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So last week we saw, or at this point, almost 2 weeks, right? You were a person that, we've been seeing a lot of motions for mistrial in this case, right? I think it was almost over 40 motions for mistrial.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. And, with this one, let's talk a little bit about the motion that you made, because that motion for mistrial was interesting. And I don't think any of us expected the outcome, right? But how significant was this particular motion that your team brought to the judge's attention, and why?
So, the motion was significant because it appears that it was, the straw that broke the camel's back, for our judge. And, at a certain point, she said, well, how do you guys want the mistrial? And right then it was like, wait a minute, is this happening? Is this finally happening? And we wanted the mistrial with prejudice, obviously, because that means that the state wouldn't be able to bring the case back. And, the judge, kind of nipped that in the bud pretty quickly. We really wanted to continue to argue for the motion for prejudice with the motion, but she seemed to stop that pretty cold. And then, the judge asked, would you like it without prejudice? And when the judge asked that directly, that seemed to strongly indicate her position. And then we all had to huddle and try to decide, is this something that we really, really wanted? Because, as far as we were concerned, we were headed towards an acquittal, or we felt like, the very strong possibility of it. So it was a hard decision to make, and we all need to huddle. And we believe that definitely, speared off the real plea negotiations.
Yeah, no, you guys did a fantastic job with that, especially because I don't think that we expected the result that we got, especially given the experience with the prior judge. Is that something that you or your team expected? Even Mr. Nichols, like, were you guys surprised when she mentioned it?
When the judge said, how do you want this mistrial?
Yes.
We were. I mean, like you said, there had been dozens and dozens of motions for mistrial, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do if inadmissible evidence is, presented to the jury. So we were just doing what we were supposed to do. We would not have been surprised at some point throughout the trial for a mistrial to actually happen, because it was error after error after error, and after a while, how can you reasonably believe that these errors won't make a difference, right? So, you know, I wouldn't say that we were surprised to actually get a chance at the mistrial. I will say that we didn't expect it right then at that moment.
Got it. There's a big difference there because,
Right.
me and this audience have been watching the proceedings for months, and that's how we know that there's been a counter as far as how many motions there have been. But, I do want to thank you at the same time for not only being a great advocate for your client, but you also reminded Judge Whitaker a few times that there were certain behaviors and patterns that would happen over and over again. So definitely want to thank you for that one. What response did you expect?
You know, I didn't really, I don't think that we really thought about that. Remember how it happened, right? So we had just spoken with the prosecutor and brought the words frequay to her attention, right? And really, that's so law school 101 that, that's bad character and inadmissible evidence. Really, we shouldn't have had to catch it. They should have automatically redacted that.
Right.
But nonetheless, we did catch it and said something to the other side moments, before it happened. And, the other side agreed and stipulated that it couldn't come in. This conversation was right with the judge. So the judge had a chance to hear it. So, it couldn't, no one can say, oh, no, that's not what this person said, or it was a misunderstanding. I think that played a part in it. And moments later, remember the state put the exhibit on the screen. And so the exhibit on the screen did not have the words frequay. We had just walked over to the other side to examine the exhibit, and it didn't have frequay. So when the witness actually said that, the moment happened so quickly,
How about me?
which you have to be
Make me
quick on your
lose you
feet.
for a second there, or is that me? Sorry to interrupt. Can you still hear me?
No, it's okay. Barely.
Okay. All right,
Something
chat.
changed
I'm
with your
gonna
sound.
rely on the chat for 1 second. Can you guys hear both of us? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us. Put a 2 in the chat if you can't.
It sounds
You guys
staticky
know?
now on our side.
Well, continue on, Miss Westmoreland. Sorry to cut in there.
No, it's all
I'm
right.
gonna
It's all
go
right.
ahead and
Can
double
people
check the
hear?
audio cables here. Continue that thought if you can hear me.
No, we I can definitely hear you. So, look, at the end of the day, you have to be constantly paying attention and quick on your feet, because who would have known, that slip up was about to happen, but it did. And our team caught it, and we immediately made the motion, and we just really didn't have time to think about what the judge would or would not do when deciding the motion. We just did what we did our job. We did what we were supposed to do, and the judge and the court responded accordingly.
Interesting. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm so sorry, Miss Westmoreland.
No, it's
I'm just
fine.
gonna refresh my screen real quick. We've been
Sure.
having a lot of audio issues today, so I'm just
It's
gonna
all right.
refresh. I will be back in 30 seconds.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. It sounds like we are back. Can you guys see and hear me? We put a 1 in the chat if you could see and hear me. And now I can hear you. Perfect. Sorry about that. These things happen.
No, it's all right.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, well, let's get
All right,
back
we're
to
trying to get my AirPods connected so we can stop the echo.
Oh, okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, no worries. And, you know, we also have a ton of time too, so you guys are good. Thank you, chat, for letting us know that everything is good to go. Perfect. Whatever just happened sounds great. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, you could put a Q in the chat and let me know what your questions are. And we can go from there.
Can you put your other headphone in here?
Gonna read a few of y'all's supers while we wait. Shout out to BC with the 10 says, I wonder if Max ever got privy to the third car that pulled beside Drake's car when there was a U-turn. He did mention that when questioning the lead investigator. Thank you, BC. Shout out to Curious and Elusive who became a member.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Curious and Elusive. Shout out to
Okay,
B,
does that work?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the audio sounds great.
Okay,
now.
okay. How is it now?
Perfect. It sounds amazing.
All right, great.
Good job. Awesome. So I think we had just left off at the responses, right? And I remember you finishing that thought. I think we were going to move on to talking about plea deals because the ultimate result is this high volume of plea deals for so many of the defendants in the case last week, which is good, you know, especially Young Thug being free at this moment and the wonderful result that we have for your client as well. Now, plea deals, and I like this conversation because sometimes it works out really well. Sometimes, you know, we saw with Mook Tunk, it didn't work out really well. What do you think is the impact of plea deals in this case, just overall, and then we'll zero in on how it helped your client?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, and it's a multi-answer because some of the impact of plea deals in this case was you had these individuals who, you know, were stuck in Fulton County Jail, which is a really, really bad place to be. And, you know, nasty, disgusting, people dying, dangerous. And, you know, so they're in this situation and then presented with a deal that oftentimes lets them go home that day after they had sat inside of the jail for a significant amount of time with no bond, that they went through bond hearing or hearings and listened to the prosecutor, you know, argue to the judge that they're the most dangerous person in the world and definitely could not, you know, should not be released. And then next thing you know, they have this plea agreement in front of them that if they initial these factual acknowledgments, they can just go home, right? And these are people. You know, I don't refer to my clients as defendants. I call them my clients because they are. But these are individuals with family and kids and sick. You know, you heard some of the witnesses, sick grandmother, you know, Christmas and New Year's and things of that nature, real life situations, and all they have to do is sign on the dotted line. And then next thing you know, a year or two later, they're getting, you know, called into trial and have to acknowledge and admit these acknowledgments that they didn't even really say themselves. They just agreed with them with their freedom on the line. So one way that it strongly impacted this case is that these individuals had to come in and make a decision in reference to a plea that they took, you know, at a time that they just wanted to go home.
Right.
And then, you know, we'll say that another way that plea dramatically influenced this case is that, you know, the case started out so big and you know, the state with so many allegations and you know, And then next thing you know, at the end of it, there are plea deals with individuals going home the same day, time served and not pleading guilty to things like murder, that they were charged with. So pleas have been significant in this case.
No, they totally have. They totally have. And we've seen a little bit of that because we're seeing the people that are taking plea deals and they're like, oh, I signed that. I don't remember signing that. Or there are discrepancies with what versions they thought they signed and different versions that were actually executed. So, this has been on top of my mind and many viewers' minds because we're like, wow, we're seeing a lot of discrepancies with these things, but also we're seeing opportunities where they can work out, like, how it had for your client. Now, was there any reluctance when you guys were negotiating with the state for Mr. Nichols' deal in itself?
Well, I can't really answer that question as far as particularly
Of course, right.
reluctance in reference to that. But, I can say that it's our opinion that this prosecution shouldn't even happen.
Yeah.
Period. Okay.
Right.
So with that being said, at the end of the day, what our client pled to was conspiracy, RICO, and the 2 acts that he admitted to was 2 drug offenses from several years ago that he had already pled guilty to. So as far as we were concerned, he had already pled guilty to those. So fine. What was not going to happen or what did not happen was a plea of guilty to murder, not happening, innocent man.
Right.
No plea to the gang charges, no plea to the firearms, and no factual acknowledgments that, that put individuals in positions to say things that the state just wanted them to say.
Yeah,
So.
100%, 100%. And given his experience of what Mr. Nichols went through and all the legal challenges that have happened during this trial, what's the most important takeaway do you think the public should be aware of?
The criminal justice system isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You
and,
can say that
and
again.
seriously, but people say that, but I think this is a situation where the public actually really was able to see it, in real time and see, over prosecution and see, lack of evidence, even with individuals being held without bond. You really got a chance. We see it all the time, but
Right.
the world had the opportunity to see it. And that's so important. That's why public trials are so important. And so many individuals, their trial, it's a public trial. People can come in and watch if they want to. The media can ask to come if they want to, but they don't, right? Because people don't know this individual. So it's them and hopefully a few of their family members. And, although they're in an unfair fight, nobody knows. And when people don't know, you're pretty much fighting alone, right? So this was different. And that's one of the reasons, it's so important for public trials and the media to cover situations like this. And we really believe that it made all the difference.
No, it totally did, because you raised a few great points there. One of them being that a lot of, it's because this trial was televised. A lot of jurisdictions, a lot of states don't even allow that. I'm in Massachusetts, but recently moved up here from Atlanta when the case started and noticed that big difference in just some states do not have open televised trials the way that we saw this. It definitely did make a difference because you guys got a lot of coverage for sure.
We did.
Was that ever like awkward seeing the media in the room, or did that just become like the normal routine of the day?
It just really became the normal routine. For most of the lawyers in the courtroom, it wasn't the first time having a camera, around anyway. And I would imagine that for Mr. Williams, a camera being around isn't that is okay, is normal, everyday life. But really, you're so into what you're doing and fighting for your client that if you do notice the camera within moments, you don't even remember it's there. You're trying to catch things like free qua. And with this type of prosecution, with the state making this many errors, literally daily, it was jumping up, objecting, and making a motion or something of that nature for something else that the other side did wrong. So to be blunt, the cameras was the last thing that we were thinking about as we were actively litigating. But the cameras is something that we thought about on a day-to-day basis because we felt like it helped our clients.
Got it. And do you think that it also helped just see the errors that were made? Because a lot of them were patterns of behavior or patterns of errors that would continuously happen. Do you think that helped as well, just kind of show the, because, I want to be nice about it, right, and stay positive, but I do think the state could have done a better job at packaging this case than what we saw.
Well, I mean, I guess our opinion is no secret. They shouldn't have brought it in the first place. But anyway, but since they did, the least that they could have done is be organized and prep their case and make sure the rules were followed and things of that nature. But to answer your question, so absolutely, the media and the individuals watching and the chat and all of that was so helpful for so many different reasons. For example, there was times that, the prosecutor, the prosecution did something and it wasn't the first time. And we wanted to show that it wasn't the first time or that this was happening repeatedly. And either we wanted to argue that or we wanted to put that in a motion. And literally the chat what could help and say, if we had a question, how many times has she done this? Or the chat would say, oh, they did this on day 89, 96, 121. And we could just go right to those days and right to those clips and pull it.
Wow.
So that was amazing. It was awesome how much people paid attention and, was invested in this with us. And we appreciate it beyond words. Seriously.
That is awesome to hear. And I know that the folks watching, some of them are asking now, like, when we point things out, do you guys read them, things like that? It sounds like it was helpful, especially like finding those moments where these things have happened before, right?
It is. And I'll tell you a little secret. I'll tell the chat a little secret. I guess it won't be a secret after we tell it. But, a lot of us spent time, when we could, looking at different chats and things of that nature. And because everyday individuals, watching the case and watching the witnesses go up and seeing, hearing the questions and seeing the witness response and their demeanor and how they answer the questions, or how did our cross go? How did this evidence play out? Individuals on the chat would make their comments and say, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound true. This sounds like it's on purpose and things of that nature. And so you can't help but think, I wonder if a juror feels the exact same way, because as a lawyer, you have a little biased with it, right? You're like, I no one could believe, what was just said, right? But that's your case, right? And you're highly invested in it. But to see someone else saying, that didn't sound right.
100%. These
right.
guys
That gives us a peek into what, jurors could possibly be thinking. So that was another benefit.
Yeah, that is a nice screening process too. Like, what does the court of public opinion think? I know these guys have been with us all summer throughout the years or throughout the year. And one of the things that they've done is you guys would be in the courtroom objecting, and they would object with you and cite the correct rule of evidence. I loved it because, for us that do have a legal background, we've kind of taught them what to expect. And so many of them are learning so much about the law. But here in this chat, we have little objection things, little badges. If y'all could use one of them right now, I don't know if we could see it back here, but they use them all the time. They're like, okay, that's an objection 403. That one's not relevant. Max is right. Miss Westmoreland is right. They would do all that. So it was always a great time watching this. And it looks like the case might be coming to a close soon. How does it feel just personally not being in the courtroom every day?
it's different. It's weird because, for, almost 2 years or over 2 years of our life, we've been, you know, at that courthouse, in that courtroom with the same individuals daily. And so we've all really become family and, and have had the opportunity to really get to know each other and, you know, go through birthdays with each other. I mean,
Wow,
seriously.
especially
Yeah, well,
these
we
2
have.
years. Mm-hmm.
Yep, we have. And we've went through holidays together and ups and downs and all kind of moments. So, you know, it's like it feels different not to see, your family on a day-to-day basis. After we were finished with our part of the trial, we've both, myself, Attorney Harvey, we've both been in and out, to offer our
Okay,
support.
that's
And
great.
so we have, but it does feel different not to be there on a day-to-day basis. And we just wish the remaining two, we wish them all the best, and we want to see an acquittal.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And,
Yep.
we're all cheering them on from home as well, just watching
Yeah.
some of the same repeated patterns happen, which is
Yep.
not a surprise, but we're watching with an open mind, but kind of shifting gears a little bit to you because, one thing that I like to use with this platform is to encourage people that are interested in pursuing a career path in law to learn a little bit more about it and to gather some different perspectives. What made you choose a
Okay.
legal profession?
So for me personally, I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And I'm not saying that can't form later on in your life, but for me, I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I knew I wanted to do criminal defense. I knew that I wanted to be a trial lawyer, and so it was already a personal passion for me. But you know, I just would encourage you. You need to know. You don't have to exactly know what type of law you want to practice, but you probably will want to know that you enjoy to read, and that because you're going to do a lot of it, writing because you're going to do a lot of it, and that this is something that you want to do because it's so time consuming, and it's so, you know, it's a lot of emotional part that goes with it. It's a lot on the line, and it's going to take determination and dedication, and it's going to take a lot of time. So it needs to be something that you want to do. But if you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah, totally agree. My path is so interesting because I come from communications and banking, but I did that
Okay, right.
for like legal folks. So when it came time to take to the bar exam, I was like, I don't know. But like that's why I like sharing these different perspectives with all of the folks that listen because, we all come from different walks of life. But at the same time, you also have to make sure that you like what you're doing. So thank you for saying that because it's a lot of reading, a lot of writing, but
It
the
is.
emotional component too, because as you mentioned before, being very invested in these cases with your clients and the outcome of it, right? Like that's something people really, really want to see. But I don't think you learn that in law school. You don't, like we had like
No.
trial team and things like that, like mock trials. But it's very different when you are practicing and doing your thing, in the middle of a courtroom, right? And over the years too. Over the years too.
I
What
mean,
is,
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, when you're standing there and, your client's beside you, and if you guys win, they walk out. And if you lose, they could be facing the rest of their life.
100%.
And so that's serious and it's heavy. And, it needs to be something it needs to be something you really want to do. You really need to, because it's serious.
Yeah.
Your freedom is so serious, right? So anyway, but yeah, I think I agree with you that people can come from all walks of life to do this profession, and I would only ask that they do it well.
That's right. Be the best zealous advocate that you can be. For sure.
Exactly.
For sure. What is something that you really enjoy about your profession and your role?
So, you know, I enjoy winning. I enjoy, I'm serious, but I enjoy winning. I don't take losing too kindly. And, but you know, when you get a chance to help people,
Mm,
it's like the other, you know, personally, what we do, we're on the defense side. And so the other side is powerful.
it is.
You know,
It
they're
is.
very powerful. And so often the individual, you know, that we are representing is not near, I mean, couldn't hold a candlestick to the power on the other side. And so when we get a chance to put up that great fight and help someone's life, and they know they're not alone, and that I have, you know, they have someone fighting for you, for them, that's a feeling that it's hard to even articulate, but it feels great. And I love every minute of it. I absolutely love what I do. Attorney Bruce Harvey absolutely loves what he does. He's passionate, he's determined, he's relentless, you know, he's powerful, he's aggressive. And you know, I think that's the type of lawyer that you want to have standing beside you, which is why I enjoy to work with him. But you know, it's just helping people, you help them, and that also does something for you.
It does. It totally does. And, that kind of leads us to, aspiring law students out there. You made a point that sometimes you don't know what type of law you want to practice. When I started, I had no idea. And everybody came from different spaces, police officers, firefighters that had the time to study part-time and things like that. But some of them wanted to go into criminal defense. Some of them wanted to go into corporate. Some of them wanted to go into healthcare law. There's just so many broad spectrums of where you can go. There are aspiring law students out there that want to go into criminal defense. Any advice for them?
Well, sure, I would say that while you're in law school, is probably the best time, but to do interns and go over and work with the intern for the public defender's office. If you can stomach it, go over there and intern at the prosecution's office, right? Even if you want to be a defense lawyer. But either way, if you want to be a prosecutor, spend some time over there at the public defender's office too, right? So you can see both sides. And so my advice would be to intern as soon as possible. Once you get into law school and you know that you can handle your workload, then apply for internships. Try to do different internships. Maybe do public defender's office one, then do the prosecution the other, and then maybe spend some time at a private practice. And then that's really going to let you know if you go and you do an internship and every morning or evening whenever you're going up there you can't stand it, it's probably not the fit, right? And then you'll get a chance to know that before you actually finish law school and then apply for a job and you're hired and now you've signed a contract or something of that nature to stay for a certain amount of time, and then you absolutely hate it when you can figure that out while you're in law school. So just go to law school open-minded and learn as much as you can, not just the books and what the professor's teaching you, but get some internships in there, and that'll help you make decisions, and hopefully it'll be the right decision for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then let's go to mid-career, because I see this all the time, especially with friends that are prosecutors, and then they want to end up going into criminal defense. Biggest lesson for those guys?
People do it all the time. I have colleagues, I have friends. I did not go that route. So I'm going to tell you right now, I've never worked for the prosecution. Absolutely not. I have not. It was not for me. Okay. Like I said earlier, I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to do defense. Okay. But there are plenty of individuals and great lawyers who started off as prosecution and then ended up on the defense. I believe that one of our colleagues in this trial, Keith Adams, was a prosecutor. Fact check me on that, guys. But went over to the defense, and he's an excellent criminal defense attorney, and he's one of my favorite cross examiners. So that shows you, and I believe just because he used to be a prosecutor, that he's still a real criminal defense attorney fighting as hard as he possibly can with every fiber in him for the defense. So, and I'll tell you, although I didn't go that route, you get a chance to see how the other side operates. And so when if you go to the other side, you know a little bit about what they do, and that's helpful, right? Experience is helpful. So, if you want to go into this field, go into it, try it out, and decide what's best for you. And law school, after law school, I started out, and I started out doing defense, obviously, but I started out doing state cases, and I didn't know leaving law school that my practice would end up uh, having a lot to do with federal criminal defense, right? So I didn't know that in the beginning. So that's something that naturally started happening. And now, I do both generally, state and federal criminal defense. And it's they're very different. So they're very different, but I enjoy both of them. So things like that will come along, as individual practice and through their mid-career.
Awesome, awesome. And that's one thing I like to do. Like, we've had Doug Weinstein on. I really like for folks to get to know you guys outside of the courtroom and, kind of hear your opinions on things and things like that, your journey. So thank you for opening up and sharing. I think it's really important in this legal process, because not only are we opening the eyes to the public on what happens every day, the other part of it is, it takes a lot to get here. And, for all of you guys, because I think all of you guys are amazing defense attorneys, you each have a unique story and a unique path. So it's always great to hear somebody's come up, so to speak, their way to get them where they are now. So my last question, and I do have a few from the audience, just probably like 3 or 4. But my last question for you is, what is next for Attorney Westmoreland? We probably have other cases to try, right? What does the rest of the year look like for you?
So we have clients that have, been patiently waiting, and, for us to finish this case. And we just appreciate the patience and the faith, to wait. And so we're, handling their case, and everybody deserves, their time and their moment. And when the focus is on them, it's on them. So we have several cases that we are about to try, back to back. We have trials already scheduled for pretty much every month for as long as I can think of right now, because it's been a backlog. And so we're going to go try those cases and go for those acquittals, and, just keep going. Just keep going.
That is awesome. That is wonderful, awesome, and just super, super inspiring. I'm going to come to a few people in the chat because, I'm pretty sure they've all enjoyed the conversation. So a few viewer questions. Shout out to Sally Sunshine. She says, question, I would like to make sure all the defense attorneys know they set a great example of professionalism, even in the face of so much chaos and disorder. Well, I think that's a compliment, Sally, but thank you. We'll take it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Brandy has a question here. She says, did social media help point things out to help build your defense?
So, I think we kind of mentioned it somewhat earlier. So a lot of times your defense is kind of built in before you go, right? And then as witnesses play out, you tweak certain things. But social media definitely helped several aspects of the case, right? Giving us an insight to how individuals perceive that this witness or that piece of evidence or things of that nature, which let us know, all right, this is what people think, about this or that or this person. And so what do we want to do with that information, right? And so unfortunately, fortunately for our client, but we didn't get a chance to do like a closing argument and things of that nature. But things that we learned from the chat and social media would have played a part in it. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. It definitely did, because it's like court of public opinion. So thank you so much, Brandy. Thank you. Coming over to Siri. He says, AB, ask if it is ever too old to go to law school. What do we think?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I have a colleague that I've done some cases with. He didn't go to law school until much, much later on in his life, and he's a dynamic lawyer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had a lot of people because I went part time at night. A lot of my
Mhm.
classmates were in their 40s. There's few folks in their 50s. I would say a
Yeah.
majority in their 30s, but I totally
Mhm.
agree with that one.
If anything, once you get out, you handle your situation more maturely. You'll be
Oh,
fine.
you do, and I knew this because here's how I knew Siri. I would not go to the day classes when I had spare time because it had all the younger kids, and we would say that's the day class, but all the older people would go to the night classes, right?
Right.
And the conversations were just better. So I totally agree there. Coming to that part, who has a question? She says, Mungtung is I think she's asking, is Mungtung able to appeal? I know you didn't represent Mungtung.
I,
What's your
I
opinion?
didn't. I prefer that question go to his representative.
Yes, thank you so much.
I
Great
really
question.
hate to see what happened with him. I really do.
Yeah, yeah, that was interesting, and I think soon we're going to have Ashley Merchant on, kind of talking about some of her experiences, her clients, things like that. A few
Right.
other members of the defense. So if you don't get a chance to ask a question right now, it's okay. But with that appeal, I mean, it was hard to see, but you guys are all learning as we see this, right? So thank you so much for that one. Shout out to Black Lexicon, who has a question. Says, how do you find the energy to continue on after a trial like this? That's a good one.
That's a good one. One day at a time.
One day at a time. There you go.
So
I love
one
that.
day at a time. And right now I think that we still feel pumped up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't felt the yet. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm still going.
Well, hopefully there's Thanksgiving holidays are coming, some days off. You guys get a chance to like rest because to your point, there's a backlog of cases that, the show still goes on. You still have to work
Right.
on advocacy for all those folks. For
Right.
sure.
And people still call now, right? And you want to be able to help them too.
That's
So,
right.
the holidays for us probably won't be off, that it'll be days where the phone's not ringing off the hook and you can, just concentrate on your cases. And so we'll make the best use of the time and go from there. We love this. We're not worried.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that. All right, Miss Westmoreland, I'm going to let you go. But one thing I'm trying with
Thank
all
you.
my guests now is if you were to describe the trial in one word, what would it be?
Wrong.
I love that. I love it so much. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. The audience loves you here. They have been rooting you on. Give our best to Mr. Harvey.
you.
We're just really glad with the outcome for some of the defendants. We feel like it should have been an acquittal for everyone, but at the same time, you get what you can, right, in a situation like this. And we've been team defense from the very beginning.
Right. And let me just say this thing in closing, though, because we all wanted an acquittal. But this is finality for several of our clients, and they get a chance to move on with their life. And that's important also. So their life has been held, hostage for years, and they get a chance to go and be with their family and make music, do whatever they want to do and live their life, right? Not being behind some walls and sleeping on concrete. So
Yeah,
although
no
we
one
want
wants
to
to
see
do
a
that.
acquittal, it's they get to move on, and that's great.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for saying that
Yes.
because that's the other thing is everyone that's been involved, we're all humans, right? Especially the folks that
Right.
actually have to, put the cuffs on and go back to, prison. It's not a pleasant place. And the way you had described it
It's
and
really
many
not.
others have described, these jails, especially in Georgia, hasn't been the best.
Yeah, especially in Fulton. Disgusting. Listen, if you guys, if for me, please, for us, continue to watch the trial to
Okay.
completion and give these two individuals left, your attention, and because it helps. And so, if I could humbly ask for a favor, that would be it.
Awesome. Well, we will be here. If you guys could do me a
All
huge
right.
favor, type Westmoreland in the chat. Thank you so much for coming. This means it means so much to my audience and all the people that have been invested in this trial. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll
All right,
talk
see you
soon.
later.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.
Awesome, guys. That was so good. I'm so excited that we were able to have her on, ask some questions. Thank you guys for asking some questions. I have my editor on standby, so we will be clipping that interview into bite-sized pieces and also be cleaning up the audio. So thank you guys so much. We're really excited that we were able to have her on. You know, I don't get an opportunity to really interview a lot of people on my side, so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And this is a perk for my members. If you are a member, we're going to try to do this more often. So you guys know we're going to have Ashley Merchant on. But as far as members, I do have another surprise for you. We do have Angela D. Williams, and she is going to be coming on in the next few days. I do need to travel. So I'll probably go, we'll go back to the trial because I want to see the alleged thing that the judge said today. I do want to see that. But what we will do is we'll make sure that we get this nice and polished up before I travel this weekend, and y'all can have access to the interview. The next interview is likely going to be Sunday or Monday. I just need to check on her availability, but she did reach out. But I want to start having conversations with these attorneys in a way where y'all could learn something, right? Not just the controversial things that we see. Learn more about their clients, learn more about the law, and also learn more about why public televised trials are so important. And at the same time, why we need to continue on supporting, Attorney Weinstein, Attorney Shard, and their clients, right? We still need to continue it. I think I had mentioned it 2-3 days ago. Someone had said to me, or I saw it somewhere online, people were like, the trial's over. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's still 2 defendants that are fighting for their lives every single day, right? And you heard it from one of the attorneys herself, like, we didn't see the best representation here, right? Sorry, guys. I think a neighbor is doing something crazy with the windows open. I'll go shut that in a second. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to jump back to where we left off in the case here and go shut that window so it's not so distracting. But let's keep going.
So 2830 Waters Road, the state believes they're referencing a gentleman that goes by the nickname Big Nick. And so when he says, remember this Big Nick?
Yeah.
And then they mentioned playing a slat talk at Crucial that night, but it's and on Wiretap they mentioned shooting up Big Nick's spot, and this is a picture of Big Nick in this thread, and he's saying, do you remember this?
But the he is in Shannon. I mean,
So 8802, I guess, stands on its own. I don't see anything.
Your Honor, it's simply just the identification of Big Nick in this photograph to shoot. That was the purpose of including this specific PDF page.
Big Nick, from my understanding, any crimes involving him, whether he committed them or were committed on him, are not charged, have nothing to do with this indictment.
Your Honor, it's associating the home, 2830 Waters Road that was shot up is Big Nick's spot. That is Big Nick. So we're just identifying that this individual is Big Nick that resides or.
All right, that's not relevant, that's the person.
Before we go further, can I just ask, Your Honor, you said going through 8800, and then I have 8801.
I don't have an 8801. Mine jumps to 8802. I'm looking at, they just consolidated everything and sent us a new link. So is there something on 8801 that?
Your Honor, no, I do not believe there is. The reason that I combined into one PDF was these are from the same source document.
Yeah, that's fine.
I I need to check to see if this document we're reading is not going to be in chronological order because I pulled myself from Demekion Garlington's Instagram at 2 separate times. So
All right, is there anything on 8801 that I can't see that would,
It just seems to be a continuation of the discussion.
is there anything important on 8801 for the state's purposes?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. And Mr. Shart, if you're able to
It's just,
pull up the Dropbox with the consolidated one, because
yeah, we had that pulled up.
Okay, you do?
Work
Okay.
off paper better, so I was
understood.
trying to mark.
All right, so y'all don't need 8801, right?
It's just a discussion about who's performing it, who is allowed to perform at club. Crucial, I think.
I do not believe, Your Honor, I don't have an 8801 in this new document
right.
that I combined.
And 8802 is out, so moving on to 8805 through 6.
Your Honor, 8805, the state does not intend to introduce.
All right, y'all are withdrawing 8805 through 6. So moving to 8812.
So, Your Honor, this specific thread is partly to identify that this is Shan Stillwell, because he says, OG Bull says, I'm going to meet you on Cleveland. And then they're like,
Waiting
okay,
on you, SB.
correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, assuming that isn't anywhere else in anything we've already gone through.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of Instagram posts,
There's a bunch of what?
Instagram posts with OG Bull and pictures of him. I think it's pretty clear, that part's pretty clear, but
Well, I guess if you're not going to debate that it's not your client's Instagram.
I'm not, but there's nothing about it. I have no objection to 8812.
Okay, so that comes in.
8832, Your Honor, Block Life OKKY, which is also one of the Instagram handles that came up in 2022 with Rodelius Ryan's Instagram that's admitted, and I believe is on the post that says, I love all my slimes with the snake emoji. He says, mandatory that we pull up to view Big Boo tomorrow. And then a couple lines later, GUTTA1 says, say, my man's Woody is out, which is Kenneth Copeland. And so then they start a video chat. And then what continues, this is 8832, is on the next page. So
I don't have a next page. I only have
32.
8832.
So,
Yeah.
Your Honor, this PDF jumps, but what ends up happening, and it's related to this thread, is there is a memorial service for Big Boo that they attend. And so this is, in the state's viewpoint, a cohesion or solidarity of it's mandatory, everybody come to view Big Boo
That's
tomorrow.
fine, I think. Is there an objection?
It's, at this point, a waste of time under the 403 analysis. But that's my objection.
And then, Your Honor, when they actually are at the reason it skips some time is because, or PDF pages, is the next day is the day that the memorial is held. And so keep up, we up with 5 Ps. That's Cormavius Nichols on page 8865. And the state feels that is, that's, of course, and then if you go to 8866, you have Christian McMiller, who's 05 driving slim. And then you have Slime Life Shorty, Wooney Lee. And then on 8876, you have Cormavius Nichols in the back. I'm blanking on the name of the gentleman who has the Pittsburgh, the red P hat, but they're throwing up, which Detective Belknap, I believe on the first day of trial, testified about some of the hand signs for what was Rock Crew, and Big Boo was Rock Crew. And so they're throwing up at this memorial service hand signs, and it also shows.
So, I'm sorry, the picture on page 8876, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's them at the memorial service?
Yes, Your Honor. There's other photographs that have a printed graphic of Big Boo that says like Big Boo Memorial. I didn't include that specific photo, but they're wearing these same outfits.
And so this is them all going to pay their respects. Is there an objection?
Relevance, 403, wasted time, and I'll note that, to my knowledge and belief, Mr. Stillwell is not in any of these photos.
Okay, I'm going to sustain that objection.
Yes, Your Honor. So I can make sure to follow the court's instruction, the page numbers for.
So I think that would be starting with 8864
Yes, Your Honor.
and going through 8867,
Yes, Your Honor.
I think.
Or
8860, no.
8876?
Oh, Lord, 88. 64, 65, 66. That's all I've got on mine for that group together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the next thing I have is 88, 75, and 76. Oh, you just put those together to show. Okay, so yeah, those are out as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
75 and 76 are out. So moving on to 8902.
This, Your Honor, is one of those times where the threads, I'm going to give a little context. So Christian, there's a conversation about a female who they believe is hanging out with YFN, If Gang, the opposition. And so this kind of develops in the next couple pages. And so the first highlight is Christian McMiller saying,
Hey, this girl hangs with the ops.
correct. And then Shan Silwell says, I told you, idiots, basically, that she's an op. And then they keep going. And if you go to 8903, I said, yeah, she's in it. She's in with their big homie. And that is Shell Kell's,
Ho.
correct. And so that the state feels is quite relevant, considering
Did she
what
just say
happens in
that
2022 and the way that they're discussing
comfortably?
opposition and Shell Kell and being a big homie. And then they continue to talk about what's going to happen to this female who is basically hanging out with YSL people and with hers. They say, like, basically talking about she's going to get physically assaulted next time she feels comfortable on the block. And then they continue going on, and on 8904, Demikion Garlington says she messes with the kid from the donut shop. He's 9'2". This is the same when Rodelius Ryan said F92, 9 Deuce, Inglewood family, YFN. It's all the same rival opposition group from January 10th, 2015 to March 14th, 2022. And then they send a picture of this female on 8905, and afterwards they continue to talk about like how she's with the opposition, which again, they need to know if this female is hanging out with Shell Kell and then coming out to hang out with them because they get concerned that she may, give information to the opposition gang, or they can't trust her. And so they continue to go on to talk about, and then one of the most revealing is 8908, where OGKINGG says who she's with at the park, and then Bloody Rari says Shell Kell. And then they say bait her back down there and let all the girls who love to fight, basically assault her idiot self. And then OG King says, who is Shell Kell? I believe no one's going to testify this, but I believe he's just being funny. Like, who is this? And then they say, and then Christian McMiller says Shell Kell is the main op, the one that we want. And when he says that we want, the state believes that they want to kill him. And then OG King says, I know that, like, obviously. And so the state feels that this thread is highly relevant to see how they're discussing Shell Kell, their main op, the one that they want, when you get to what has been presented already and what it was being presented about the murder of Shamel Drinks in 2022.
So, Your Honor, what we have in this thread is talk about a girl, and now 8903, my client, in response to Slam Life Shorty saying, yeah, she in with their big homie, my client responds and indicates his belief that it's Shell Kell's girl. But then a bunch of people who are not my client, and I understand that my client's on the thread, start talking about, yeah, we should have her come over and have other girls beat her up. From my reading of this, my client is not actively involved in any of those conversations. And then the other part of import to me is Ocean Drive Slim, who I believe to be Christian McMiller, says that declares, as a response to what I also agree is probably a joke, like who's Shell Kell, he's the main op we want.
Yeah.
I'm objecting to Christian McMiller's statements, out-of-court statements coming in. I don't believe that they would fall under 801D2E. They're not adopted by my client. So I would object to that. And I would also object to any discussion about some silly plan. I mean, we can talk about conspiracy.
I think that all the stuff about the girl is a very marginal relevance. So if the real goal of this is to have somebody say Shell Kell is the main op, the one we want.
Yes, Your Honor. That is the reason I grabbed this thread was to essentially give context to that, to lead up to 8808, I believe, the one where he says Shell Kell is the main op.
But to me, Your Honor, me reading this thread is just a bunch of friends. We can label it whatever we want. I'm going to say it's a bunch of friends basically gossiping and just running their mouths and playing with each other. And Mr. McMiller says, oh, this one comment, I'm
Yeah,
reading it
I'm gonna sustain the objection to this. So does that go through 89? How far does this go?
It goes for,
Through 8912?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then is it in there again, or is that a different text
So-
thread on 8910 the second time? See, we got 8910, 11.
Yep, they're
again.
still talking about the rival op that they want to go kill. And so that is the same thread talking about killing the rival opposition. That the state believes Shell Kell is one of the key ones in the post with Shamel Drinks and
Where are they
dissing-
talking about killing people?
when he, Your Honor, so, and I understand what, this is advocacy, both sides, gossiping about people. The state believes with the context of we're about to get into with 2022, when they're talking about sliding, I'm not the only one that's going to be dying or crying tonight, talking about spinning the block, the wiretap, where Garlington's like, let me get an assault rifle and go get a paper tag slider to shoot them. I just saw that guy from Summerhill. That when they're saying he's the main one we want, they're not gossiping like people would do in high school or something about friends. They're talking about a rival opposition gang leader that they want to murder. And in 2022, that whole dynamic is still readily active and apparent. So this private message between multiple YSL gang members discussing their rival opposition, no, they don't use the word kill in here, but in the cohesion and fostering that this thread readily, there's a us, there's a them, and there's,
Y'all established,
Yes, Your Honor.
I think, already that there's an us and a them. So I follow because it's highlighted through 8909. And what I'm asking is, then there's 89, 10, 11, and 12 that nothing is highlighted on. Is there something important on there, or is that just a continuation of this? Is there something significant about these next 3 pages where nothing is highlighted?
one brief moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, it's all about how they can't trust this person because they're hanging out
This
with their
girl.
opposition.
This
Yes, Your
girl.
Honor. And they don't want her to,
All right,
give their-
so then that is all out, if that's the extent of it. And then 80, so then I've got another 89, 10, and 11, and maybe 12. Is that just a repeat, or is that a different chain? That's the same thing over again?
repeat where we start getting close to when the PDFs combine.
Okay, I think that's all the same thing. All right, so now 89, 15. What are we looking at? And 16 and,
Let me get to. So again, they're saying she's the op, better stop playing, and then they say, they're mentioning 9 Dukes, the same criminal street gang.
I don't know where we
Yes.
are.
Oh,
So I'm on
80
89, 15. There's nothing highlighted. What am I supposed to be looking at?
So, Your Honor,
Ooh,
Yes,
she getting hot.
yeah, that is a continuation from the page before.
which I don't have.
Yes, Your Honor. So we will not use 8915. And 8916, they are actively stating that someone is a member of 9 Deuce, the rival street gang.
She the op, he better stop playing.
And
She's not having it, Atkins. Not today. Not today, kiddo.
So this is trying to identify people that various people are hanging and or sleeping with as either on their side or with another group.
Your Honor, I will not use those pages. I'll skip to, I won't bury the lead. Let's go to 8921 and 8922.
All
And so 8922, OG King says, tell that girl to stay in Summerhill, which is where YFN, if gang, what territory is. This shit's deeper than rap. She can't be both. You're either with us or you're against us. There's no in between. She gets beat the fuck up next time she's in
All
the park.
right, that, yeah, if you want to have that, that's at least talking about something
Who's
directly
getting
that
beat the fuck up?
seems
What
to be
now?
indicating this is more than who you rap with.
Now, Your Honor, I'm going to object. I understand that you're finding relevant.
Because your client is nowhere in this.
Right. I just
Conversation?
This is not OG.
Okay.
OG OG king, and my client,
Yeah.
and I don't understand how this is further.
Okay.
And, Your Honor, this is the group thread that he's a part of. So it's multiple YSL members talking about beating the hell out of this person.
Well,
I mean, they say beat the FUCK up next time. I think it's
You
highly
ain't
relevant
swear
about
now.
exacting violence on a rival street.
well, it would be highly relevant maybe if any of these people were in trial for beating up this woman. So I don't know about highly relevant.
I guess I should say, Your Honor, I shouldn't have said relevant is not the word I meant. I meant gang co-conspirator statements of identifying an opposition gang member and exacting violence, which in the states,
Saying they're going to exact violence.
correct, which ends up being murder in the state's position with,
Well, nobody,
Real quick, guys, thank you all for the reminders about the audio. We know I just finished texting my engineer. He was not available earlier. We just scheduled time before the next live to sort this all out. So thank you so much for your patience and the reminders. We'll go back in.
sleeping with both of the gang members or roll up gangs ends up murdered as far as I know of with regard to this indictment, right?
and Your Honor, I guess what I meant is, they're not just talking about, like, the state feels it is gang co-conspirator 801D2E for them to be discussing exacting violence on a rival gang member amongst each other. That's the state's position, and defendant Stillwell is a part of this group thread. And so the state believes that
Well,
this
it's
is
hardly an
admissible.
adoptive admission because these apparently everybody this age just spends the entirety of their lives on 700 million different group threads that unless you were watching it at the time, you don't go back and say, well, what did these people say 15 minutes ago? Because it's, 1,000 different tweets or threads or whatever comments by the time they pull up their phone and see what's going on the group thread.
Yes, Your Honor.
I just think we're so far afield.
We are very far afield.
We're talking about folk having sex.
I mean, yeah, just 403, I'm excluding all of this.
Your Honor, can I go to the
Yeah,
thread
you
where we're
guys
talking
are
about
right.
shooting wife and Lucci?
I mean, yeah, that would at least have some, cogent potential connection to this trial, yes. Where would that be?
Go to page 9839. The whole YFN is at the Chevron Blue Ivory shooting a video. Lucci's out there, gray Audi, Lucci's in it, and a black X6 truck. My rental doesn't have paper plates, but it can slide.
That seems relevant.
All right, pull up with the shit.
Mr.
Hadn't found 9839 yet, but whatever you're reading sounds relevant.
Are we getting rid of everything?
I will check between, but I wanted to get to the most 801D2 statement I could possibly find that I think this satisfies the street gang element of trying to shoot wife and
Okay.
Lucci.
All right, that's admissible. Wherever it is, that page is admissible.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Before we get there, can we I'm just trying to go in order so I don't mess myself up. 8919, I see a picture of an incredibly handsome man sitting next to me. I believe appears to be drinking a clear liquid drink. Is there any?
The picture, you're talking about of Shan Stillwell?
8919, yes.
Yeah. So after that post, this is, I believe, close in time to when they had the memorial for Big Boo. I'm trying to find that page number, but it says, we have to do it for Big Boo. These people are lacking, as in they don't have firearms on them, so they're easier to.
Well, I mean, they're talking about drinking.
Right.
Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I gotta do it for Boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh, that means
What did
they
you
don't have
just-
guns on them, but that
Ma'am, Paige Whitaker, what did you just say? What the hell?
would be quite that.
On them, so they're easier to.
Well, I mean, they're talking about drinking.
Right.
Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I gotta do it for Boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh, that means they don't have guns on them, but that would be quite a stretch,
Yeah.
given the context in which it comes up.
Yes, Your Honor. We will not use that page.
All righty, so not the picture, not that page. So 8921 is like a snap of somebody's text. Is that in here for any reason?
You know, look,
8920.
one more time for the
Your
chief.
Honor.
I'm sorry, 8921. It comes right after 8920.
You know, there's some moments where I wish Lead was here. Did she really just say the N-word? Did y'all see Simone Hilton's face when she said it? Is it okay for her to say, I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God.
Boo, these niggas lacking.
And they don't have firearms on them, so they're easier to,
Well, I mean, they're talking about drinking.
Right.
Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I gotta do it for Boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say, I mean, you can say, oh, that means they don't have guns on them, but that would be quite a stretch,
Yeah.
given the context in which it comes up.
yes, Your Honor, we will not use that page.
All righty, so not the picture, not that page. So 8921 is like a snap of somebody's text. Is that in here for any reason?
Let me get to that page, 8920, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, 8921. It comes right after 8920.
So that screenshot of the text thread,
Uh-huh.
that it's referencing to the same female who's.
The girl?
who's
Okay,
referencing
so
both
that's
sides.
out.
Yes, Your Honor.
8922 is out. So now we're on 797 and 798. What's that in here for? Because nothing's highlighted, so I don't know.
So, Your Honor, you're talking to a gentleman who's in prison, and so Demekion Garlington is talking to ODOGG_YGC, and who says, I'm at Hayes, he means Hayes State Prison, and then they continue to talk, and they're discussing and keeping abreast of what is happening with people in different investigations where the reason that the state included this is because he's talking about someone who possibly was speaking to the feds. And then I didn't highlight these. And then he says, hell no, he's on high max. He just caught a body at Macon State. And they continue to discuss when
Listen, as a communications professional, I'm telling you guys right now, very, very bad for the judge to let that slip, to say it, even if she was reading. You don't do that. You know, like, take the Brian Steele approach. Say ends. Just say ends. It's the South. What are we doing here? Your defendants are black. Like, what are we doing here? Oh my God. Let's keep going.
Dog YGC says, that's what I'm talking about. He's mob. That's the Goodfellas street gang. He says he's going to do that. I'm going to blast his ass. And then they discuss when he was in prison with them. And so the state included this because it felt that Demekion Garlington speaking with this individual to keep abreast of who was possibly speaking with law enforcement is how criminal street gangs, gather information and can share to know who to be wary of or who not to. That's why the state included this in this thread, Your Honor. And Your Honor, the state will not use this PDF page numbers.
Okay. So then it's 809 and 810, I guess.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that just for the three highlighted things that they use the word slap? Or is there something more?
The judge is thugging it out.
Your
today.
Honor, the state will not use, I was double checking to, no, there's nothing more in 809. And nothing, the state will not use 809 or 810. And then we get to where the thread we just discussed about trying to shoot wife and Lucci, it starts at 9839 and continues through 9840.
Sorry. Hang on.
Do we know who the speakers are? Like Stick Baby to Don?
I don't off the top of my head remember, Ms. Charlotte,
Okay.
who that is, but this is the one we just discussed.
Yeah, that's admissible.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so the next thing,
I understand the ruling. I'm going to object to 801 D2E. I understand the context of the statement, but I'm saying I don't know who these people speaking are. I understand on this group. thread.
okay, I thought y'all knew who Keep Up with the Pup, or We the Pup,
So,
I don't know.
Your Honor, that
I thought y'all knew who that
handle
was.
is what was posting all the pictures of Cormavius. Yeah, so APD believe, so that is Trevante Turner. But the this also is the handle that's posting the photographs of Quarmavius Nichols 6 different times
Okay.
that we addressed at
All
the
right.
memorial for Big Boo.
So some unindicted co-conspirator.
So keep up, we up is Trevante Turner though?
So
And then stick, whatever, baby to Dawn, baby dad on.
yes, Your Honor, this is a group thread that Shan Stillwell is a part of. And again, they are, 1B Slime is the nephew of Jeffrey Williams, and you have Unfunk, who is the
Right.
brother we've discussed. Demekion Garlington, whose Instagram this is obviously in this group thread because it was captured in his
Right.
Instagram.
I mean, so is there some objection that there's somebody that we don't know who can't come in as 801D2E, or what's the objection?
My objection, right, my objection was I don't know how we can label something 801D to E if we don't know exactly who it is saying.
We don't have to know who it is. And if there's something other than this conversation that establishes their co-conspirator nature, then that gets over that hurdle. And I'm trying to figure out, is there anybody in this conversation saying anything that would otherwise be admissible, who all we have is this one conversation?
I can't answer that because I don't know who you're asking, is there anyone that we don't have anything else that ties them
Yeah,
to?
besides this one conversation. I'm trying to figure out if that's your objection, because if it's not, then.
It is my objection, and perhaps if the state is saying that Investigator Viverito or whoever has knowledge that Stick Baby to Don is this person and keep up,
Okay, that's what I was trying to walk through.
and
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that question.
So you've told me that you have other things for keep up, whatever, that establish he's a co-conspirator, whether we know who he is or not, even though they think he's Turner.
So, Your Honor, yes, I'm getting that,
So Stick Baby, whomever, do we have anything more than this conversation for that person?
I do not currently have anything more about who Stick Baby the Don is at this time. And I also, so, Your Honor, the context of this, of them being all,
Okay, so whomever that is, he or she is alerting this group, hey, y'all, Lucci's wherever Lucci is.
right, yes, Your Honor, which from this indictment and what the state believes the evidence showed is the same YFN Lucci who was stabbed in the
Right.
Fulton County Jail and is the same YFN Lucci that Christian Eppinger is calling Sumlin to get permission to finish the job that wasn't successfully completed, and is the same YFN Lucci whose mother's home was shot
Right,
twice in
I
2015.
understand. And so we do know who 1B Slime is, and OG King is, and 2 times Unfunk is, right? And Block Life, whatever. The only one that we don't know is Stick Baby? Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so, Your Honor. I'm looking at these names to make sure I didn't miss something.
Okay,
And we know for Investigator Viverito that keep up, we up is Trevante Turner, is that?
So that handle, I'm getting that information from speaking with APD. So that
Okay.
same handle posts Quarmavius Nichols 6 times in these photos that we threw out on Big Boo's memorial. That's the
right,
same
but
handle.
from that alone, we know more than just this. So the only thing that we might not know more than just this about, or the only person, is the Stick Baby, whatever. And frankly, that's not being offered for the truth. Anyway, it's being offered to show that once that information gets out there, all these other people talk about potentially doing something, right?
Yes, Your Honor. And by doing something, going to shoot YFN Lucci.
Who's OG King? Just for my curiosity. He says, stop talking crazy in the DM.
Which I think was sound advice. Your Honor, I believe that's Big Nick, who is.
Honestly,
Your
it
Honor.
doesn't really matter. I just was wondering. Okay, so it seems that the first part of it, the only part that would potentially have been kept out because we don't know who it is, that part's not really being offered for its truth. It's being offered to show what everybody else then does. So this seems to me to be admissible. So moving on to 92, I think 35. Is there objection to this?
9235?
It's what is next for mine.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if they have an objection yet or not, Your
I
Honor.
don't know.
Relevance.
So, Your Honor,
403.
I omitted this highlight, and Christian McMiller says YFN TONIO is at the Wings on Seafood. And then another person says, oh, he feels safe. And then they say he gets his hair cut at the barbershop on Cleveland. I'm going to get him. He was in there saying, and then he goes on to say, because they've not been messing with him. So they identify someone who the state believes is a rival opposition who was at a specific location, and then they're referencing, oh, he feels safe, I'm going to get him. The state feels that this is relevant, keeping abreast co-conspirator statements of a rival opposition where he's located so that they can go possibly shoot him.
Okay, and I object to this with full understanding and belief that my client is not actively involved in this conversation. But I also believe, I don't know about YFN Tony and what I don't know who that is. I've never heard of any crime that was committed. And so I understand why the state wants it in, but I mean, we have 100 and something over acts, and now we're talking about a plan to assault or get little Tony at a barbershop at Cleveland that none of us, I don't have no knowledge that anyone was ever hurt at a barbershop on Cleveland on that date. And so we're just kind of, this is my concern, Your Honor, and I understand the point the state's trying to make, but my concern is we've just come this far, and now we're just kind of like throwing crimes in there that none of us, at least I'll speak for myself, I don't know anything about what they're talking about. Now we're kind of like opening up the universe to a bunch of talk on a group chat about crimes, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, with no indication that it was done or how it would even fit into this, other than they're people that the state says are YSL members and they're on this group chat together. And my objection is 403.
And
403.
403, I acknowledge that it's relevance to show that people on this group chat talk and feel that they have rights. I get all that, but right now, we're kind of, I think the marginal probative value, marginal utility of this information is just confusing at this point. I'm confused.
Your Honor. Obviously, to both murder, RICO, criminal street gang activity, all defendants have pled not guilty to, so the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And them talking about a YFN person, where they are, so they can go shoot him, when we are currently presenting evidence of a March 14, 2022 that the state believes was really a chance encounter, but how they talk about rival opposition gang members and what they want to do is highly relevant and is not, the jury in this trial is not going to base their verdict. This is not highly prejudicial so much to overcome the high standard to make relevant admissible evidence so prejudicial that the jury in this specific trial, from reading this thread, is going to say, I'm just going to find him guilty because I saw this thread in 2019 about a YFN member at this seafood restaurant on Cleveland that we want to go hurt. I don't think this is close to the line of 403, highly prejudicial information from reading the case law on 403. I don't have the case law 403. I know the court's well aware of that, but that case law, but I don't feel that this is so highly prejudicial considering the evidence that has been admitted and will be admitted in this trial, that this specific line can meet that standard.
I want to show something just a second. All right, I'm going to admit that one over objection. $91.41.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is a little bit of a different, well, slightly different conversation. So, and again, this is all this group thread. And so Unfunk says YFN robbed troop. And Christian Miller says little troop, and Unfunk says yes. And he says they tried to hit Muntunk, who is Antonio Sledge, up earlier with his kids. And by hit up, I think they mean shoot at. at the football game, and they caught Jonesboro Southquay, which was Marquavius Huey, and Nard, which is Tinquarius Minder, not the Nard that from January 10th, 2015, last night, and tried it. So they're mentioning YFN actively trying to kill 3 different YSL members, and then they said they took the YSL chain, which is a high level of disrespect on top of shooting at someone from Little Troop, and then they say, let's ride. And so the state feels that this specifically, which is referencing both a witness who's testified in this trial and the indicted defendant on this case and YSL members, and they took their YSL chain and are trying to actively shoot at them. And so the state's, with the evidence presented and what the state has.
All right, y'all have, I think, sufficiently established a gang rivalry. You can, it's a different version of what's on 9235, so pick one or the
The
other.
state would prefer to use 9141.
All right, then 9135 is out, 9141 is in. 2359 is what I have up next, and it has no highlighting, so I don't, this is somebody sending some kind of media alert or something that,
Yes, Your Honor. The state initially included this where Big Cecil sends when the state will not include this thread, but they're mentioning the.
okay, well, can you? So y'all are withdrawing that? The next thing is 10339 through,
So this, Your Honor, is referencing, again, Do It for Phil is
343.
Miles Farley, who was charged in the murder of Shamel Drinks. And then they're talking about how people just aired it out, as in shot up where they are. And so they say, just took him to the hospital. Where y'all at? Headquarters. Stop playing. And then they say, who did it? And they said, it just got aired out. They're saying, come to the apartment. And then they're like, who's out there? And they're saying what other gang co-conspirators are out there. And they say, y'all didn't, and then Do It for Phil says, y'all didn't shoot back. And then the person says, are you going to slide? That's the question. And then they're asking about who did this. I'm hoping that my bros come to the hood to save me. And then they say 12, talking about police, because obviously someone was shot, is out there searching 500 Cleveland. They say 500, but I believe they mean 500 Cleveland with flashlights. And they're like, who did this? What happened? The state was included this. And then they go on to say that they had a red car and a white one, both tinted windows. He was in front of Summerdale, which is the Summerdale apartment complex that I believe in March or April we had presented evidence about a armed robbery of Derek Dodson. But the point of this was how they respond with, solidarity, cohesion, someone shooting at us. Where are you? Who did it? That was why the state included this, with multiple YSL members discussing someone shooting at their location. And then they say, everyone come to quote unquote headquarters and basically like rally the troops, to prepare for, what just happened.
Again, my client is nowhere involved in this conversation, which, in my mind, I understand it's a RICO, but does cut back on probative value. Of course, it also cuts back on the prejudicial effect. So I acknowledge that, but or the danger
What
of
is
unfair
he even
prejudice.
talking about?
I'm just keep going back to the waste of time and confusion of issues with some of these things.
The very last line at 10-343, it basically says that y'all need to get a gun, which he says FYE, and stop spending your money on BS. We can't take no losses, slime. And so again, this whole group thread, which Shannon Stillwell is the post right after we can't take no losses, slime, because this is a group thread where they're all keeping abreast of the gang co-conspirator. They're literally talking about being shot at, and then where is everyone? Who did this? And then he says, y'all basically need to get guns and stop spending money on frivolous stuff because we cannot take any losses, slime. The state feels that under Kemp v. State and 801D2E, prognacy from that, this is statements in furtherance of the conspiracy for multiple reasons, keeping abreast of the conspiracy, fostering cohesion amongst each other because people are trying to shoot one of them and they need to rally together and they can't take any losses. And so that's why the state included this, was how they actively respond when one of them is shot. That was why the state included this. And where they're at is Cleveland.
We're going to need a
My
sound for
client
him.
posts some sort of URL. Do we know what that is?
I do not, Mr. Shart. I don't think in Demetrius Garlington's Instagram, I have to double check. It may be in the linked media, but I don't actually know, as I sit here right now, what he posted.
Okay, can you check on that?
I can, yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't-
Do we have any idea who got shot?
They mentioned DYN, they believe that DYN Finesse got shot. DYN Finesse is the one who was right next to Rodelius Ryan when they were posting Instagram photos we discussed in the murder of Jamari Holmes, who has a lot of photographs. I do not know his last name, but that nickname and handle were photographs we had discussed.
I don't understand. I really don't understand this case.
Do you want to be heard further, Mr. Sharp?
No?
Do you want to be heard further?
Oh, no, I was just waiting on
The ruling
No.
or what the image was going to be? I don't know how quickly they can get that.
We're very close, Your Honor.
All right.
Not.
Oh, we found it, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is about it, then we can understand.
I'm gonna share it.
Laura, can you send it to me after they, or should I, you can share it on Zoom.
Sorry guys, this is like the fourth time StreamYard has conked out on me. We are going to definitely be switching to OBS, which is a different streaming software. It did it during the election party that we had. It did it during like 2 live streams this week. I'm done. I'm over StreamYard. StreamYard, do better. This is terrible.
Who is still alive, contrary to what I said earlier. And he's performing. So Shannon, after all that talk,
Sends a video or sends a thing
sent out a flyer.
saying, hey, this person's going to be performing
Yes.
some other time in August.
So it has nothing to do with what they're talking about.
Your Honor, the reason I mentioned that post was to just show the court that he's in this thread.
Okay. Okay, and then there's also not a retaliatory shooting shortly after this, is there?
I don't have evidence of retaliation. I don't know what actually happened.
Okay. I mean,
There may be, I would have to check with APD about this
there's
date and
not one
time.
in the indictment because I just looked.
No, there's not one in the indictment, Your Honor.
Okay. I mean, y'all don't have evidence you're going to present of one. This is just, one of their friends gets shot and people talk about needing to rally and have firearms to potentially protect themselves from being shot. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and your objections, Mr. Short, are what?
It's 403, confusion of issues, waste of time. We're talking, we're introducing another controversy in this that really does not get to the heart of the indictment. If Your Honor was inclined to admit this, my concern is also that my client is seen responding, and I understand that at the state's point that, oh, he's at some point.
It shows he's in the, yeah.
Well, if it's going to be admitted, technologically, I don't know how to establish.
But you would want that, that's what he then posts.
Correct. I can do that.
They can do that. All right, I'm going to admit it.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. The next PDF page number is 1636. This is Demekion Garlington and Christian McMiller. And Christian McMiller says, he says, what's so crazy is Lucci, his brother, and like 7 more of them were on the flight next with him. They looked, but didn't say anything. And then Garlington says, they know we're not sweet. And then he says, I tell Salam he's going to start laughing and don't go outside, at least get a chain if they jump you. And then Garlington kind of is, in my opinion, a way to acknowledge what he's saying. He's saying F what you're talking about, but it actually means like, I agree with you. And then Christian McMiller says, that was going to happen anyway. I already had my victim lined up. And then Garlington says, crazy man, I can't wait to grab me one.
Mr. Shard?
I'm trying to.
It's PDF page 57. Mr. Shart in the combined consolidated PDF thread.
Gosh. 1636.
Yes.
And so, I wasn't following it first. It's basically Mr. McMiller claiming that he has a victim lined up, but we don't know who the victim is or anything like that.
Correct, Mr. Shart.
It's just 403.
Sustained. Okay, 8:10 is next, and I hope we're getting to the bottom of this, and then we'll break for lunch.
Yes, Your Honor, we're almost done.
Okay. Well, all right, so what's on 8:10?
I'm reading it in conjunction with, actually 810. I think this is a repeat because we've
All right,
halfway through this, it got to the combined, so we will not use this
All right.
specific 810 on PDF page 58.
okay. 10287,
This says, they said to add thug in our group chat. Again, this is the group chat with all the same names we've been talking about this entire time. And then a little bit later, did you add, I believe they're talking about Jeffrey Williams, and then on page 10288, they added Thugger1, which is defendant Williams' Instagram.
to show what?
Initially pulled this and provided, when I initially pulled this in August, defendant Williams was in this trial. The state.
Do you need it now? I mean, I realize he's still alleged to be a co-conspirator, but,
No.
I mean, they're talking about where they're at.
So, Your Honor, the main point, well, there's
Real quick, guys, it is raining memberships in the chat. Want to give a special shout out to Libra Gang Chronicles, who just gifted 20 memberships. Thank you so much, sis. Really appreciate you. And then on top of that, right after that, and right before, let me go to her super chat as well. She says, AV, did you leave your group chats today? 3 down, 2 to go for me. I don't have time. Yeah. Group chats are tough, guys. I can't stand them because I have all Apple products. And the worst thing that happens, you guys never see me like react to it. But when people text me, I have it silent on my phone, but it comes up on this Mac desktop. It comes up on my iPad. You guys know that I use these tools to run the streams. So I actually am not even a fan when people text me during the day, unless it's an emergency. But thank you so much, Libra Gang Chronicles. If you got a membership from her, please say thank you. But also following up, the one, the only Brandon Lesko pops in with 20 AV memberships. Thank you so much, Brandon. Hope your dog is doing well. Thank you so much for gifting all those memberships. Guys, if you received one from Brandon, please say thank you to him. I think all together, you guys collectively have gifted each other over 200 memberships on this stream. Came in handy when we talked to Miss Westmoreland today. And then, you know, we have a bunch of interviews coming up. I want to have deeper conversations with these attorneys. So Angela D. Williams is next up. And then we are locking down time with Ashley Merchant. So thank you so much, Brandon, for expanding our community and coming up to his super chat here with the 5. He says, I'm just giving my minority opinion as a white person. And this is what I love about Brandon. He always tells you, he's like, hey, I'm white, but he's like super fun. And he says, you can add years to your life by removing a single word from your vocabulary. Yeah, that was interesting. It was interesting that that came out so freely. But thank you so much, Brandon. And I know I have a few more super chats to read, but I wanted to catch these two because both Libra Gang and Brandon gifted memberships. But while I'm here, I'll come to Victoria. She says, where is Lead? He'll be back soon. We're going to stream together on his side on Tuesday, but he needed to take a few days off, so he has done that. But we're coming back together as a duo next week. That being said, let's get back to the trial.
This specific 2 pages was to show, and again, at the time, this was in August, that this, you know, all these messages we've been talking about, you know, regardless of the ones admitted, not admitted, they're talking about a lot of active activity that's happening, you know, on Cleveland Avenue amongst each other with YFN, and so they wanted to add him to that group thread. And so that's why we included this.
All right, I think y'all
Understood, Your
certainly established that these people are all friends with each other, including Mr. Williams. Okay, next we have a picture of someone's wounded arm.
Yeah, and then, yes, Your Honor. They were referencing being shot. This specific, I'm trying to look at this date because when I combine these,
It's 9/16/21.
If you give me 1 second, Your Honor, this might possibly be in relation to what we were just talking about of someone. I wanted to check,
Oh,
but I could be mistaken.
okay.
So, Your Honor, absent, I would not use this.
Okay.
I believe it was in reference to something, but I can't find where that is at the moment.
All right. So 9483.
Yes, Your Honor. The state does not have to use this 9483.
Okay, and 84 went with that? And 85? And 86? And 87? Or and 88?
One brief moment, Your Honor.
And 89?
Take it all out.
And 90. This goes all the way through 90, so.
Get it all out of there.
So, Your Honor, 9487. So there's a couple points. It's more so on 9486 and 87 where the one that's highlighted, the ops are not going to care. So basically, they're discussing a situation that happened with an opposition gang member, and somebody's like, I wasn't there. And then Christian McMiller says the ops are not going to care who was there and who wasn't. It's up, which when someone says it's up, it basically means that it's going to be an active conflict. Like, we're not going to have peace. It's just the same. And so, and then little Quay 1 says, I'm telling you, Mac. And then they go on the next page and it says, I'm not doing all this talking. If you ride, you're riding. If not, F you, it's up to you. And then they say, you know damn well I'm behind you 100%. And then they say, we are one, we are family. So that's why the state included it. And then there's some disagreement about, I believe the genesis of this beef was something that happened between a YSL member and a female. And so there's a couple members who are basically like, I don't want to go to war about a female. And the other ones are saying, well, we are one. So we're going to go to, we're going to stick together either way. But that it was the we are one, a family. That was what the state wanted to include. Again, fostering cohesion amongst. That's why this was included, Your Honor.
And I don't think it's worth the squeeze to bring up wounds and arms and shootings and all that. Just we are one, we're a family. Again, from my review of this, none of this has been still well actively posted.
And Your Honor, 9488. after the Weir family, Weir one, he says, we can go to war for sure. We got 7 guns and it's 20 of us at the park. Everyone needs, I believe he meant to say gun or Glocks. He says GAKS. I don't know. I think that's a typo. I could be wrong. And again, they're going back and forth about, a couple people are saying, I don't want to go to war about, they say Gotti, but I believe that they're talking about not Mr. Kendrick, but someone else, but I could be mistaken.
Do we know what when you said he said this, I just want to make it clear that that was not the, oh, we're going to war, it was not sharing that.
No.
But do we know who Bloody Robert is?
I do not know who that is at this time, Mr. Sharp.
The one who's trying to get straight who they're even going to war with? That one?
Right.
If they even go to war, because they're broke and it's hard to go to war if they're broke. So how much of this do you want in? Are you proposing starting on, what, 9486?
Your Honor, I can, and we only have 2 more pages left, Your Honor, and so to answer the court's question, if you keep going a little bit.
Yeah, I've read all the way through 90.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just trying to figure out what portion of this you want.
The F, everybody who's
any
not
of
with
it.
slime, we have to move in 1. But
Where are
we can
you
go to,
starting?
Your Honor, it was what the court just articulated, 9486, I believe is when that thread starts.
Okay, so 83, 84, 85 you're not seeing that.
Give me one brief moment, Mr. Sharp. Let me try to find where the page number is. I believe this entire, that's the last 7 pages of the PDF. It's 9483 is where it starts.
Right, but do you want those first few pages?
Your Honor, I don't believe I need the, I wanted to include that the gang was on the opposite side, but I am trying to digest what I can remove with still keeping the context. That's what I'm trying to do right now, Your Honor.
All right, well,
And I can do that over a lunch break if the court would want.
now I want to make a ruling
Your
on
Honor.
this before we break for lunch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, then, Your Honor, to the extent they're bringing in the lines that mention some Gotti that we don't know what Gotti it is, I'm going to do a 403 objection for confusion.
Y'all see that? Do you have any kind of response to that?
So, Your Honor,
It's on the last page.
yes, Your Honor.
Scrambling and scraping. I love it when you scramble and scraping, Atkins. Look at you, Atkins.
I will,
Scrambling and scraping, Atkins.
Confirm that if, yeah. And I think they actually mean got it, not got it as a typo, which is another individual. And so that's who I think they're talking about. I think Mr. Weinstein agrees with me. Little got it is another person. So if I will talk and ask about.
It's also on 9488, sort of in the middle. No F in war for no body.
Yes. Yeah, correct. There's a little dot in this thread. You can see there, because their thread handle is called that. The point of including this was not to insinuate to the jury or try to confuse them about Diamante Kendrick. It was for how they are talking about. Yeah, we can redact that or have, combined instruction. If I believe that specific point can be rectified.
We'll stop at A, so if shots fired, I'm with it, period.
Excuse me, is that before the Gotti lines?
Correct.
I don't know where it is.
On page 9490,
She
Just
don't even know.
if shots fired, I'm with it.
period. And then not do, but
And there's that other Gotti reference a few pages before that.
we'll take that out as well.
Y'all keep saying hose, just want you to know, ain't got nothing to do with that. So what's it about then? And it ends them going, I mean, what are we even talking about?
We're getting the N-word, we're getting hoes just thrown around freely.
It ends with, so is it Hood Baby versus 4PF or YSL versus 4PF? That's the last statement, at least in this one that's included.
The state wants this in?
Your Honor, we won't use any of these threads, Your Honor. We'll keep these out.
All right. Okay, let's break for lunch. Well, it's just us, so why don't we be back here at 1, because we need to get through all of this today.
At 1 o'clock.
Yeah, no, that would be 15 minutes, sorry. 2, wait, what do I mean? What I mean is 1:30, 45 minutes, 1:30, sorry.
Okay, sure. It's Friday.
Now that we're done talking about hoes, let's break for lunch. Luckily, we have some TiVo time. And they come back here.
Through a bunch of Instagram. Before we broke for lunch, we were hashing through a bunch of Instagram conversations, and I was reading one out loud, and basically saying it as my eyes were going over it for the first time ever, and just reading whatever was on the paper, and I read out the word NIGGAS, which I hope that was not offensive to anyone. It was certainly not meant to be offensive to anyone. I do not use that word, and it was merely, I should have been looking first before I said it, whatever I said out loud, to edit if there were, any offensive words. So I want to apologize on the record for that. Now, with regard to the songs, well, thank you, I appreciate that. I did not mean any. I was not able to listen to the songs because nobody sent me the songs we might be litigating. I think it was 1:35, and I'm still waiting for it to come over the ether wherever it goes before it gets from one email to another, of what the songs are and what
All right, we're going to listen to it one more time. She's apologized. This is a public apology, which is good. There's some accountability.
Before we broke for lunch, we were hashing through a bunch of Instagram conversations, and I was reading one out loud, and basically saying it as my eyes were going over it for the first time ever, and just reading whatever was on the paper, and I read out the word NIGGAS, which I hope that was not offensive to anyone. It was certainly not meant to be offensive to anyone. I do not use that word, and it was merely, I should have been looking first before I said it, whatever I said out loud, to edit if there were, any offensive words. So I want to apologize on the record for that. Now, with regard to the songs, well, thank you, I appreciate that. I did not mean any. I was not able to listen to the songs because nobody sent me the songs we might be litigating. I think it was 1:35, and I'm still waiting for it to come over the ether wherever it goes before it gets from one email to another, of what the songs are and what the objections might be. And if y'all were working on it the whole lunch, and that's why it didn't get to me until now, that's fine. But we'll just have to listen to them in court, which is fine, and y'all can tell me the objections now.
So, well, the state has indicated that there's 4 songs
Okay.
That they're seeking to admit. Some of the songs have multiple artists on the song.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And guys, just a heads up, I do have a flight to catch in like an hour. So I'm going to be taking off soon. But going to what Brandon's question is here, he says, now I missed this. Was that the way she pronounced it? Curious minds want to know. She isn't sorry about comparing women to a gardening tool. Well, I mean, that's a great observation. She is apologetic for pronouncing it. So to answer the first part of the question, yes, she did pronounce it with the A towards the end. But she was reading Instagram posts or something like that. And then you are also correct that she did not apologize for using the term hose. Hoes need love too, but let's keep going.
It is my understanding that the state is not intending to introduce the words of any of the other artists on any of the songs. Is that correct? I mean, if
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's what,
I am,
except one, which would be what we talked about with the chorus, which is the red line.
okay,
There's only one that we intend to introduce the words of someone else, and that would be the song Red Light. There's a portion before, we believe is Mr. Stillwell's voice rapping on the song, which would be the chorus of the song that we would intend to introduce.
and I think that was B Slime, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, Your Honor, with those 4 songs, I am not, I guess I'm not in a cooperative mood with the state at this moment in regards to this music. So we are objecting to all of it. Our objection to anyone that's not saying the words of anyone other than Mr. Stillwell it's the words of someone other than Mr. Stillwell. The objections for the lyrics that are alleged to have been rapped by Mr. Stillwell are that 404A, bad character. Of course, all this is also under my client's First Amendment rights and his artistic license.
Certainly, as I think has been litigated before, and as I think I have noted before, everybody has got a right to say pretty much whatever they please as long as it is within First Amendment realm. But if what you say can then be argued as evidence against you,
Right.
it's not a First Amendment violation for a prosecutor to say, hey, you said this at this point, and we think it's evidence of whatever this crime is. So-
Understood. So I felt the need to include the First Amendment in that, but really, as far as the Georgia rules of evidence that are applicable in this case, it's going to be 404A and 403.
403 being, I mean, there are a lot of,
Unfair prejudice.
Okay.
Our stance is that there's talk about homicides, ops, guns, and all the rest. And our stance is just generic talk about guns and crimes and all of those things are not meant to be admitted in a criminal trial unless there's a nexus to the crime at hand or the crime that's being litigated. So that's where with the 404A and the 403 unfair prejudice would come in. So I will say, Mr. Kokomo, if this assists the court, Mr. Kokomo did some sort of AI work to get the lyrics on paper.
wow.
So we appreciate him for that, but that might help in
All
the
right.
analysis of this.
And the 4-song,
All right, guys. So I am kind of crunched for time. I need to board this plane in the next hour. So let's read our super chats. We did cover the morning session. I will be back after our audio gets fixed with our engineer on Monday. Sound panels are being installed while I'm not here. So we should be all good to go on Monday. Apologies again for the audio. I'm very excited that we got a chance to meet with Attorney Westmoreland. If you guys want to wait for me, after I interview Miss Angela D. Williams on Monday, I can cover the afternoon session. So that way we're all caught up for Tuesday. So we can certainly do that as well. But I'm going to read these super chats before I dip out for the weekend. I think we left off right here. Thank you so much, Diamond. She's been a member for a month and says when you unmute, it echoes. Something's happening. I got this $700 Rodecaster in front of me and a new microphone. So I don't know what's going on, but we will get it fixed this weekend. Thank you. Shout out to the professional insurance advisor with the 2 says, was Whitaker saying help the state mistrial worthy? Was that a question for Nicole? It might have been. But thank you so much. Shout out to FTH Poetry with the 10 says, I normally lurk, but seeing you cancel the stream earlier after putting in the effort to upgrade your setup made me feel some type of way. Congrats, appreciate you, and keep pushing. Thank you. Guys, listen, yeah, I had a stream already scheduled for the day, but I don't know what setting happened, but basically the mic just stopped working. I had tested it like 4 or 5 times, did test recordings, all of it. It just did not work. And it's really embarrassing if you're a creator with thousands of people watching and you work hard to move everything around, get everything set up, and it doesn't work, you know? So, shenanigans. But thank you guys so much, and thank you so much, FTH. You guys are such an amazing community. Y'all kept pushing. You were like, hey, get on there, get back on there, leaving comments, sending messages, emails. Thank you guys for the encouragement. Because that's the thing. I am a perfectionist because I want you guys to have the best viewer experience possible. And that includes audio, visual, all of it. If you're paying me to be here, I'm going to give you excellence. And when it doesn't work the way I want it to, it's a little discouraging, but we got right back on in. And thank you guys for sticking with me. I really appreciate that. Shout out to Michael Love with the 5, says, don't forget to let her know she got thumbs up for her courtroom attire. That's right. I am going to send her an email and just say thank you again to Attorney Westmoreland. Again, I want you guys to really get to know these lawyers, not just what you see from the long crime angle from back here, really get a chance to get to know them. So I'm so happy she was here, and thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Shout out to the one, Mr. Ham with the 5, says, great interview, AV. Attorney Westmoreland's insight on how their defense tailored their approach based on social media was eye-opening. Yeah, that was big. That was big because at the end of the day, like she was talking about the power of you guys, how we're able to go back to footage from months ago and look at the chat and see what y'all's reaction was back then. Does it make sense? Because here's the thing, there's a court of public opinion, but it's actually an amazing case study. It's an amazing place for you to like think tank a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, if the public is reacting this way, imagine how the jury is reacting. So I thought it was amazing. But thank you so much, the one, Mr. Ham. Sally Sunshine with the 10 says, great job, AV. Thank you again for all your hard work. Listen, this week has been crazy. We had the Young Thug thing, right? I think I flew down to Atlanta and voted, had a photo shoot on Sunday, came back, streamed like 4 or 5 times in one day, did an election stream, audio messed up, spent the whole day yesterday fixing that, and then streamed again today. A little tired. So your girl definitely is flying first class tonight, just saying. But thank you so much, Sally Sunshine, and I wanted to make sure that we got it right for you guys, so we will absolutely get it right, but thank you. Shout out to the one, Lo-Fi Terica with the 10 says, great job, sis. Thank you so much, Terica. If y'all are looking for music, lo-fi music to listen to, check out Terica. If any of the mods are hanging around, drop the link to her channel. I personally, when I'm working, listen to Terica's channel. It's like lo-fi beats. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Terica. Spittin' Fire, another content creator with the 10 says, Whitmer been drinking. Whitaker has, I don't know. That was an interesting moment today. It really was. Thank you so much. Shout out to Lady BC40 with the 2 says, y'all know she's been drinking. Did it really look like she was drunk? I don't know. Spitting Fire back again with another 2 says they're going to blame Trump winning on that. Some of y'all were saying that. Shout out to Raphael with the 2 says she's banned from the barbecue. Okay, y'all were not happy with the N-bomb, with the N-word. Shout out to Legally Diamond with the 2, who has been a member for 2 months. She says she apologized later. It's on the Shade Room, and we just caught the apology. So for those that are watching on replay, we just saw that. Shout out to Buddy305 says, in context, if it's okay for Glanville, it's okay for Whitaker. Did he say the N-word? I don't remember him saying that. Shout out to T House with the 2 says, AV, I saw the ATL come out of Simone. Yeah, she was like, did you guys catch that? I think I saw that on Thugger Daily too, so super interesting. Shout out to Victoria with the 2 says, YSL Whitaker, where are my pearls? She was throwing around the whole word a little loosely today. I was like, what is going on? Shout out to Libra Gang Chronicles with the 10. We talked about that one. Thank you again, Libra Gang, for gifting 20 memberships. Brandon Lesko, of course, gifting memberships. Victoria asked where Lead was. I did answer that question. Covered this one for Brandon. Night of an I with the 2 says, I can't believe Fani won re-election. She did. It is what it is, right? I think that there was an opportunity to really get to know voters. And it's not like Courtney Kramer didn't. She was, on a lot of different channels, a lot of different platforms doing interviews. She was I think at one of the protests outside of the courthouse, but I think what made a lot of people uncomfortable was the lack of experience. If she got in front of that a little bit more, that would have been great. As a voter, as a Fulton County voter myself, I didn't come across any of that material. So that just goes to show if it didn't come to me, then it probably didn't reach, the message didn't reach enough people. That's my suspicion. But, wishing everybody the best with the outcome. But it went from like 100,000 votes for Courtney, a little bit over that, to 300,000 for Fonnie Willis. And then you have to look at the greater population of how many people actually lived in Fulton County and how many people actually turned out to vote. So that's another big thing. But thank you so much. Judy became a member. Welcome, Judy. Lesko came back. I think we covered that one. ZMT, good to see you. ZMT with the 5 says, this is from the judge, AV. It was sent to me by mistake. The words must be worded. LOL. I mean, Shout out to ZMT again, who gifted 5 memberships on our way out. Thank you, ZMT. And then shout out to Victoria with the 2. Says, what's the objection for can't unring the bell, sis? You can't. You can't. Oh, Dennis Byron's popping in here. Good to see you, Dennis. I am actually heading out for the day, but good to see Dennis Byron in the chat as well. Listen, guys, so the schedule is Monday. We will be back with Angela. My editor's on standby as soon as this ends to start cleaning up the interview. We will have a condensed, shorter version of me and Attorney Westmoreland with our conversation today. So y'all will see a shorter version of that, right? So that will be released this weekend. Talking to Angela D. Williams on, still need to confirm, but we're going to target Monday for right now. So Monday is a holiday. Happy Veterans Day to all that have served. Thank you so much. Salute to you. Thank you for your service and all you've done for us in this country. We will be back on Veterans Day. Maybe I'll wear some red, white, and blue. Maybe I'll do it. Y'all know me, very patriotic when I can be, right? And then on Tuesday, when the trial continues, we will be back on the lead attorney side. So that is our schedule for the weekend. I'm gonna get out of here, get myself off to Phoenix on first class, because your girl needs to relax. And then Monday, we should have this room complete as far as a studio. Listen, y'all, have a safe weekend. Stay safe out there. Bye.